Sorry, a bit late. Go ahead.
You're muted.
You're muted.
So I've been asked by the Grand Coalition to protect African lives to host today's platform, which is a day to have an honest conversation with the MPs about the vaccine. Now, I know that a letter of invitation was given to every single one of the MPs in the video that we'll be showing later. And as far as I know, there's no MPs in attendance. So what that means is that we're going to hear from some experts in the community on their opinions on the vaccines and really dive deep rather into some of the logistics behind vaccine safety, the science that we've been asked to rely on, and many other issues relating to COVID-19 and vaccine. I don't know if we can say COVID-19. I know that that gets you off YouTube, isn't it? It's called C19, or just when I do this, you know what I'm talking about. But just with regards to C19, no things like that. But let's start this event right. Auntie Jean, will you be able to help us out with our libations? Give thanks.
Yes, I will be. I will do. And as I said, we first start off by saying big thank you to the Most High, Ludamari, who's given us the earth that we stand upon, the air that we breathe, the sunshine that gives us life, and also the water that gives us life. All creatures, great and small, all the plants and everything that also helps us to keep us healthy. I give thanks to the Ludamari. I also give thanks to our Aubrey that gives us the intuition to know what is right from wrong. And I always like to start off the libation by giving thanks, calling on our good ancestors and giving them thanks for their tenacity and the fact that they survived being taken away from the shores of their home and dotted all the way around the world. The atrocities and everything that they went through, even though we're supposed to be reincarnated, I can't imagine living in that time. So the fact that everything happened to them. They seen their loved ones' lives being taken. They seen people take their own lives. But I give thanks for the good ancestors who had that tenacity, who had that strength, who had that willpower to keep on going. Because if it wasn't for their survival, we wouldn't be here today. For all those good ancestors, back in the day, I say thank you and ashe.
Ashe.
I also say thank you to our leaders, our heroes, our sheroes, our warriors, all of our leaders that help kick down those doors, open those pathways, let us realize that we can rise up. We don't have to be subservient. We don't have to take everything that's given to us. We can fight back. And this is the time that we need to fight back. We need to stand up and we need to say no. So for our leaders, heroes and sheroes, as you know, my favorite is the Right Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. No bones about that. I know that everybody's got their favorites, and there is so many heroes, sheroes, and warriors, too much or too numerous for me to name. So I say, for all of them, I give thanks and ashe.
Ashe.
I also give thanks to my lineage. I give thanks to your lineage. I give thanks to all the heads and shoulders of our ancestors of who we all stand upon. Those ancestors, the good ancestors that's been with us from the time that we're born right through to the time that we pass over to the ancestors. Those ancestors that's there with us when even though we feel that we're alone, we're not alone. They are there with us. And we've got to remember to call on our ancestors for help, for guidance. And when we do call on our ancestors for help and guidance, because we really need it now, ask also that their answers be as clear as water, and let our minds be open to receive those messages, because those messages are going to come in many different ways, many different forms, signs, something written, something that you hear as you turn the television on or the radio. So let our minds be open to receive those messages. For our good ancestors that's there with us throughout the time that we're born, right through to the time we pass over, I say thank you and ashe.
Ashe.
And this is time I take the opportunity to say thank you to my grandmother, Stefan Bailey, whom I've never met, but she's been with me all the way. Stefan Bailey, I say thank you and ashe.
Ashe.
And also say thank you to my grandfather, Hubert Stair, who we called Mr. Stair. I say thank you and ashe. And I also say thank you to my mother, Iona Pinnock, and my stepfather, Ivan Pinnock. But if they weren't the people who they were, I wouldn't be the person who I am today. So I say thank you and ashe.
Ashe.
And is anybody else would like to say thank you to loved ones, family, friends, anybody who's even somebody who's just passed and they'd like to say thank you to, please unmute and speak.
I'd like to take the opportunity to give thanks and appreciation to my ancestors, my father, Luther Augustus Palmer, my grandparents on both sides of the family, Mary Brown and Thomas Brown,
Ashe.
Emmety Palmer and Pearl Palmer.
Ashe. Ashe. Anybody else?
Yes, I'd like to take some time out to also to acknowledge my ancestry on my family line, both sides of my family line, both my grandmother and my granddad, Willie Harris and Matilda Carty, and also my mother, Jane and Carty, and the rest of the family, that line, and also all our scholar warriors who has actually paved the way for where we are today. They've opened a wide quadrille of knowledge for us now, so we can be where we are with knowledge, understanding, and move forward in this time. Yes, especially somebody like Ivor Van Sertiman, Dr. Ben, and the likes.
Ashe.
At this time, I wish to call upon my grandmother, Grandmother Daisy,
Ashe.
Grandfather James, and Grandfather Waddy.
Ashe.
Without them, I would not be where I am. And I give thanks for their courage, their love, and their firm hand.
Ashe.
At the time, the benefit of it today. So I said Ashe to those great grandparents of mine.
I want to give thanks for the warrior spirit of the late Winnie Mandela.
Ashe.
I want to give thanks for her. I want to give thanks to my grandfather, Abraham Dowdu, and my grandmother, Titilayo.
Ashe.
And I want to give thanks and honor and praises to all the lost men and women in the land known as Nigeria. Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. Anyone else?
Greetings. Greetings.
Your tip.
Yes, can I be heard?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'd just like to quickly say I'd like to say greetings and some remembrance to my second mother, Dr. Frances Cresswellsing, who taught me much of what I know regarding racism and how life is being practiced, or how life is on planet Earth even now in 2021. And this is how I understand it. And her teacher, Neely Fuller, who's still with us.
Ashe.
Thank you.
Ashe. Anybody else?
How can we not mention the name of our great president, Pombi Magufuli?
Ashe.
The courage of this great African.
Ashe. Of course, we can. And with that, I am going to start off with the reason why we are actually here. And the reason why we're actually here is because of these people who say that they're actually representing us and saying that they are for the community. So let's hear what they have to say, and then we can say what we have to say afterwards.
I am a Labour MP.
I'm a Conservative MP.
MPs don't agree all the time.
But on taking the vaccination issue, we do.
Coronavirus has really turned our world upside down and taken far too many of our loved ones far too soon.
COVID-19 has exploited the existing inequalities in our society.
The pain that our communities have gone through is indescribable.
The infections and deaths have affected families in every part of the UK.
My husband and I had a mild case of COVID-19.
Last week, I lost my cousin to coronavirus.
During the pandemic, I have lost an uncle to the virus.
We understand the fears, the anxieties, and the confusion.
We understand the genuine history of mistrust some Black people will rightfully feel.
Each of us has the power to protect ourselves and to help slow the transmission.
And now the vaccination is available. Speak to your GP or your pharmacist to learn more.
They have been robustly tested by some of the world's best scientists and data analytics experts and authorised by the MHRA here in the United Kingdom.
Get the facts.
Speak with trusted healthcare professionals and encourage your family to do the same.
My father, my mother, they're having it because they work in the healthcare sector.
It's proven to be effective. So if you or a member of your family is invited by the NHS to get the vaccine, please, please, please take it. Protect yourself, protect your family, protect your community.
Don't let misinformation put you or your loved ones at risk.
My aunt recently had the vaccine.
My family friend has had the vaccine.
When it gets to my turn, I certainly will be taking it.
When it's my turn, I will be taking the vaccine.
When it is my turn, I will be taking the vaccine.
I'll be taking the vaccine.
When it's my turn, I'll be taking the vaccine.
When it's my turn, I will be taking the vaccine.
Let's work together
and beat this virus once and for all.
Okay. That's what they say. And we've got something else. Just to round that little bit off before I introduce you to the others. Just a sec. I just sort this out.
Don't tell me it's Lenny Henry.
No. Oh, you want to see Lenny Henry?
No.
No.
And answers that have actually been given by the government before considering getting vaccinated. If I get vaccinated, can I stop wearing a mask? Government says no. If I get vaccinated, will the restaurants, bars, schools, fitness clubs, hair salons, and other government-declared non-essential businesses reopen? And will people be able to get back to work like normal? Government answer, no. If I get vaccinated, will I be resistant to COVID-19? The government answers, maybe, but we don't know exactly, so probably not. If I get vaccinated, at least I won't be contagious to others, right? Government answer, no, the vaccine doesn't stop transmission. Well, if I get vaccinated, how long will the vaccine last? Government answer, no one knows. All COVID vaccines are still in the experimental stage, and it's likely you'll need to get boosters to stay current. Then there's the issue of variant strains. Well, if I get vaccinated, can I stop social distancing? Government answer, no. If my parents, grandparents, and myself all get vaccinated, can we hug each other again? Government says no. So what's the benefit of getting vaccinated? The government's answer is hoping that the virus won't kill you. Next question, are you sure the vaccine won't injure or kill me? The government gives no guarantees. If statistically the virus won't kill me to the tune of 99.97% survival rate, why should I get vaccinated? Government's answer, to protect others. So if I get vaccinated, I can protect 100% of people I come in contact with? Government answer, no, absolutely not. If I experience a severe adverse reaction, long-term side effects, which are still unknown, or die from the vaccine, will I or my family be compensated from the vaccine manufacturer or the government? Government's answer, absolutely not. The government and vaccine manufacturers have zero liability regarding this experimental drug. So to summarize, the COVID-19 vaccine does not provide immunity, does not eliminate the virus, does not prevent death, does not guarantee you won't get it, does not stop you from passing it on to others, does not eliminate the need for mask wearing and social distancing, does not eliminate the need for travel bans, does not eliminate the need for business closures, doesn't eliminate the need for lockdowns, and if you take it and get harmed by it, the companies and governments will not be liable and you will not be compensated. So if you're going to roll up your sleeve and play the part of gullible guinea pig and take this experimental, unapproved drug that offers zero benefit and could cost you your life, you are on your own. If you get something out of this video, please give it a like and share it with others. It could literally save their lives. Once you take this vaccine, you cannot untake it.
Okay. Okay. So much for that. So is the time when I introduce you to our brother Dayo and JJ, brother Dayo from Black People Giving. Sorry, but my phone is down, so you're gonna have to introduce yourself and introduce the rest. So brother Dayo, the screen is now yours, and welcome. Brother Dayo and JJ are our chairs for today. Okay.
Greetings everybody, and thank you for that that introduction. As RTG said, my name is Brother Dayo. From BPG Wayewa. That's the word that she probably didn't get at the end there, but Black People Giving, been doing a lot of work in the community for a long time, and I've been asked today to introduce, along with my co-chair, the great JJ Jegna. JJ, say hi to the people.
Greetings, family. Greetings. Good evening. Good afternoon to anybody. Yeah, I'm JJ. I've been asked to chair the meeting also, co-chair with my brother Dayo. So I hope to be able to dig deep into the subjects and keep everything clear for everybody. I'm very much looking forward to today's discussion and to hear what everybody brings. Of course, we know that we've sent out a lot of invites for today. In fact, we invited everybody from that video that you saw earlier, all of those MPs. And as you can tell from the list, it was very short of MPs today to be able to rebuttal their points.
Well, you know, JJ, you know what they're like. I know them quite well. You know, me and the MPs. You know, back in the day, in my early days in this journey, I actually found myself working in Parliament next to these MPs, and I couldn't get any MP to ever look at me directly in my face because I was clearly just beneath them. But now we've contacted them. We went to speak to all of those MPs, all of them, and not one of them can message back. That is about their love for the Black community
that they're speaking about in this video.
Is about as good as the jerk chicken in the Houses of Parliament. I promise you, that is not no jerk chicken. You know the jerk chicken's like got sauce all over, just wet. I was like, what is this? Are we supposed to be? But yeah, Anyway, we're gonna continue to just try and fill in what we think the MPs would have said. But you know, when you're actually given an opportunity to speak to the Black community, if it's something that you actually you know, put a lot of weight on, put a lot of credit, then you would think that they'd want to have an opportunity to speak to us and put across their view. Unfortunately, we've got big empty chairs next to all their names, but I think it's going to be a really great opportunity for us today to speak with some of the people in our community that actually have shown that they're very serious about, you know, supporting the African community. And our first speaker that we have today is a man who has definitely shown his worth to his community. I know he leads various tours across London, looking into various naturopathic ways of looking at health, and also he's deep into astrology. So I just want to make sure that Galactic Clyde, you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Fantastic.
Live and direct.
Fantastic, live and direct. Yes, yes, yes. So without further ado, I'm going to give way to the great Galactic Clyde, who's going to go a little bit into the history of vaccines. You know, we hear so much about vaccines as to like they healed polio. I think I definitely want Galactic Clyde to speak to me, because I'll be traveling to Africa soon, and anytime you speak to somebody from the continent, they say to you, when they're talking about vaccines, they want to talk about polio. And to be honest, I always have the response that I don't know. I've never known anybody that had polio. So when I hear that polio was completely wiped out by vaccines, I'm a bit skeptical. But I'm here to learn. I'm here to be educated. So Galactic Clyde, the MPs told us to take the vaccination today. They say that it doesn't matter what, the vaccination is going to bring us health. So could you give us a bit of information on the history of vaccines and what exactly you think in response to them? Take it away.
Okay, greetings everyone. I'm Galactic Clyde. In terms of the history of vaccination, I want to go back into the 17th century at the outbreak of polio. And there was an African slave he was actually renamed Onesimus, something like that. He was called by a pastor by the name of Cotton Mather. So he owned him as a slave, even though he was a pastor. He had the slave, and so he asked Onesimus, as he called him, he asked him one day, well, how is he able to survive during this time? How is not, you know, he's okay? How is it that he's okay during the time of polio and he didn't come down with polio? And he explained to him that he's inoculate. I'm not sure if that's the word he used, but that's the word that was applied to the technique that they were using, or that he was aware of coming from the continent of Africa. And he'd been a slave, or enslaved, I should say. So he explained that actually he's inoculated himself, and so he wouldn't have to worry about the polio damage. So in further analysis of what he done, he's explained to the pastor that actually he's cut he makes a gash on his body, and then he used a little bit of the pox from the smallpox and put it into the wound. And in that sense, he inoculated himself. In hearing that, the pastor collect his information and send it around to a lot of the whites around different institutions. And that's where the beginning of what they call the anti-vaccination or the anti-inoculation came in, because they thought it was some kind of voodoo science coming from Africa. So a lot of them was against using that technique, even though it was working. Anyway, move forward. into the later on up into, I think, in the 18th century, when a doctor decided that actually is going to use the cowpox as opposed to smallpox, because the cowpox was somewhat similar to smallpox, but it was pox by the cows. And so what he did, he takes and this way the whole concept of vaccination or vaccine comes from, because it comes from the word vaccine, which connected with cowpox. Anyway, he was able to take a syringe of the cowpox and then inject it into as a test subject to see the difference between the how effective it would be for the using the cowpox to eradicate the smallpox. Anyway, it did work somewhat, as they're saying, but it did not have a lasting, lifelong immunity based on the research. Anyway, because of timing, I don't want to spend time on that. I would fast forward in so we could come forward. Anyway, they've been doing research, and so the foundation of the research was based of the vaccine was based on inoculation, which I explained in connection to Onesimus, as the slave was, the enslaved African was called. Anyway, they went into the lab and they start doing different research along the line of the whole thing of inoculation slash what becomes known as vaccination. It reminds me of what Dr. Ivy van Sertiman once says. You know, a big vessel can sail on the ocean without sinking. You know, and you know, but if you put which is a big vessel, I'm referring to what he said. You could take a piece of iron. Iron is not known to float. However, a big vessel can float on the ocean. And he said, you know, I'm saying this to say, based on a lot of the tests that they're doing, are lab tests. They're not doing live. It's not based on live human tests, such as what Onesimus did in inoculating himself. So a lot of the tests is done in the lab, and they think because they got safety in the lab that is right and prevalent for them to use it on human. And so if you take a piece of iron and you put it in water, seawater or fresh water, or even a bowl of water, it would sink. However, a boat can float, yes? But there's a whole nother technique that goes with that makes the boat float anyway, which means that it uses air because the boat is hollow and they pump air in that makes the boat able to float. But when you come on to the whole history of vaccination, what they've done, they've used lab tests on different virus and pathogen. And because they achieve somewhat of what they consider as a success rate, they think that they can use it on the human. The lab tests don't have the same type of immunity or immune system like the whole body of an individual. And another thing to realize that a lot of the science was not based on using the inoculation that Onesimus did, but they start using all kind of offensive material in these so-called vaccination, such as pig urine and different mercury and things that don't really work for the body. And so this is where we are today, that it's the whole system of inoculation has changed into vaccination, where it becomes a weapon against humanity. Going back to the Native American, we know that the Native American was given blankets laced with smallpox for them to come through as an act of war. And when we look back, and because there's lots of research that are readily available that I could reference to a document on YouTube called involved in the understanding of what is going on with the CDC and the laws that they passed, that the CDC is actually operating as a military, more militant, or as a military operation than a medical, because the whole thing has changed now, where guns and bombs are not as efficient as using medical warfare. And so based on my research and observation of what's going on in terms of the totality, we're in a time of medical warfare. I was living in America in my early 20s, and I came across a brother by the name of Curtis Cross, who wrote a book, Vaccination, a Danger to the Black Community. And I've bought that book, read that book, and when I have my children, I was very much aware and steer them away from vaccination, only to learn about so much people have been damaged via vaccination, especially as in America, and especially living here in the UK. One of the things that I've realized when they talk about vaccination, they like to use the word anti-vaxxers. And what I've realized, most of the people who are considered anti-vaxxers, and case in point, the person who's considered the #1 anti-vaxxer, he's called Kent Heckin Lively. And actually, he wrote a book. You seen the lady that was speaking earlier by the name of Judy Makovich. They co-authored a book together called Plague. And he's considered the #1 anti-vaxxer. But when I read his book called Plague, in his book, he detailed that he take his child to be vaccinated, and his child came down with autism, and he thought maybe he missed an appointment, there was a mistake somewhere, only to realize when he did his research, he realized it's damaged by the deadly pathogen and is damaged by all of the stuff that they throw into vaccination. So it's not really an inoculation where the origin of this concept come from, but it becomes where they just throw everything in, gasoline, petrol, different things that are thrown in. And most people that are advocating and encouraging other people to get vaccination, they don't talk about what's in it. They don't talk about the contents of what's in vaccination, such as pig urine, such as dog kidney, such as mercury or formaldehyde and different things. Formaldehyde was used in vaccination because one thing they realized when they were trying to trick the immune system, I must say trick because they would tell you they're trying to train the immune system, but they're tricking the immune system to accept certain things that they would inject in the body to accept it, so it can raise the antigen or antibodies in order to say that actually they achieve immunity. But what it is, it's actually, when you do the research, it's actually lower the immune system. The immune system have to go into a restart mode to reorganize itself and deal with the issues of the different offensive things that are used in the vaccination. And so I don't recommend that anybody get involved in getting any form of vaccination without doing proper research and the pros and cons of vaccination. When you talk about, and when you do the pros and cons, and when you look at it, you realize there's no need to go down that road when actually there is natural immunity, which is considered the best way forward in terms of health and longevity. Because a lot of these vaccination that they're given, especially to young children at a very early age, they're given so much different jobs that there is no study being done on the compilation of all that job that they were given over time. But we know that most people are coming down with degenerative ailment, and a lot of people are come down with different forms of medical sickness that they actually have to be dependent on the medical institution for the rest of their life. I've known many cases, and I'm sure you all know many cases, and therefore it's not something to run in headlong. Curtis Cross since wrote a book, actually Upgrade from Vaccination, a Dangerous to the Black Community, but he also wrote his new book, Vaccination, a Dangerous for all communities to be aware. And just for a database, anybody wants to get that information, there's information available. But where we at today is very important in connection to COVID-19. And I'm aware of my timing, and this is why I'm pushing forward. But we also gonna have radio program to further this information, where we can bring you statistics and bring you data and quotation from different doctors, and different people in the medical field that have gone through the experience and know better, and recommending alternative methods such as homeopathic, natural herbs, and a better way of living in terms of dealing with issues such as virus, or that we need vaccination from. Like case in point, tetanus, they realized that later on, is realized that vitamin C can be very good, as opposed to taking a vaccination with material that coming from a horse or different animals that are really, that we as human don't naturally would eat, eat. So COVID-19, as it stands, looking at the research that is out there, that is actually major cutting edge research, and case in point is, we've seen Judy Makovich, who's came out at the early part of COVID-19 and talks about her experience dealing with working with viruses and making them more viral. She talks about that she working in the institution and what has happened to her when she came forward and actually realizing the danger that humanity is coming, that is coming to the fore for humanity. Most people that, since she's done the document called Plandemic, there's a lot of what they call it, trolls has come behind, and when you Google Plandemic, you get the worst case scenario of Plandemic, and they make her look like a quack doctor when she knows her stuff. Case in point, in her book, Corruption, in the book Plague of Corruption, she talks about what is called XMRV, which is a retrovirus based on the coming from actually the rat or rat that they use in the parts from the rat that they're using, that created a problem for human, because we as human, we're not supposed to be eating rat, but yet we're given tissues from rat brain tissues that are in the vaccination that people are taking, and most people don't know that. Most people don't know what's in the stuff that everybody's telling them to take because it's good for them, and that the same people who are pushing it are not taking it, and they're telling you they don't want to be first in line to take this stuff. And so it's very important that we do our research, because time doesn't permit to give you the database and a lot of these information that is needed. But we, as the course of time, will be bringing you data from different schools of thought and show you alternative ways forward. I am a herbalist. I know of many herbs that can be used against a lot of virus, because there's such a thing as antiviral herb, and nobody talks about the natural procedure that people can use. Everything I go down the line of it's all about vaccination from the get-go. From the beginning of COVID-19, they tell you where they want to go, that the whole world need to be vaccinated. And even though that many remedies, even drugs that been years of use, such as hydroxychloroquine, that's been proven to work by many medical practitioners, they're not recognized, and they've been thrown off, and many doctors has been suffering from because of their use and trying to use these drugs that has been recommended for such things as malaria and things of that nature. I'm sure some of you seen the evidence that's out there. There's many herbs also and mushroom that can be used. Yes, I'm talking about vaccination, but I'm also talking about alternative, because it's important that we also understand it's important to know alternative. Why? We're dealing with a warfare. doing my research on this whole thing, I see this as an act of war. Even though it's undeclared to a certain extent, it's an act of war. And an act of war means that we can't be blind to the facts of what is happening. And by getting vaccination, they also have microchip, they have monatomic particles, they have all kinds of things that they're telling you what the future of medicine gonna be. What they're saying, the future of medicine is that your doctor's miles away sits on a computer and working on your body. So you're becoming computerized. We will be having we're becoming an operative system for their medical apparatus. So they can sit miles and miles away, and some robots can be working on you because what? You have a chip, you have some kind of chip that connects you to that robot or to that doctor that's miles away that be working on you. And this is the way of getting the program started, by telling everybody they need to get vaccinated. It's a no-no.
Okay, brother. Give thanks, brother Galactic Clyde. I appreciate everything you shared with us. I think it's a little bit unfair because you do have a short slot to try and give as much important information as possible. I've got one quick question for you. If you was to give one sentence of advice to somebody that were considering to take this jab, what would it be?
Know that the people behind the job are the same people that also behind mass depopulation.
Okay, interesting. I think it's interesting you use the term act of war as well. That's something really to consider. You spoke a lot about facts and whatnot. Can I ask, where can we find more information? Is there a place where all of this information is put together and we can find more so we can verify the things you're saying and continue our own research?
I recommend the book, Vaccination Are Dangerous, A Warning to the Global Community by Curtis Cross. Let me say it slow. I'll put it in the chat. Vaccination Are Dangerous.
You show it again, please, brother?
Vaccination Are Dangerous, A Warning to the Global Community by Curtis Cross.
Okay.
I'll put that in the chat.
Okay. All right. Peace. Thank you very much for that. Okay. So next, I really want to talk a little bit about the effect of how this has affected us psychologically. The carrot, the stick, the whole relationship with the jab, and how it's affected our minds. I want to bring in somebody called Dave Murphy. Dave, are you there?
Yeah, we got Dave there. We got just a minute clip first before Dave.
Okay.
Okay. Hey. And I'm just gonna put it on now. See.
All right, this won't be up for long. Share as much as you can. Mike Eden, ex-chief scientist of Pfizer, has stated that it is now too late to save any person who has been injected with any COVID-19 vaccine. He urges those who have not yet been injected with the deadly compound to fight for the continuation of humans and the lives of their children. The world-acclaimed immunologist goes on to outline the process, which he says will kill the vast majority of people now alive. Immediately on receipt of the first injection, around 0.8% of people die within 2 weeks. The survivors have a life expectancy of 2 years on average, but this is decreased with every top-up or booster injection. Down at the bottom, billions are already condemned to certain unchangeable and agonizing deaths. Each person who has received the injection will certainly die prematurely, and 3 years is a generous estimate. Please share.
Thank you.
Interesting. Interesting. So, so moving forward, Dave Murphy, you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Oh, brilliant. Good to see you. Can you first, can you first introduce yourself, and can you talk more into psychological operations, please?
Okay. Well, I'm Dave. I'm known as allegedly Dave online. I help people for free. That's what I do, and mostly with their illnesses. I've written a book called The Human Body Owner's Workshop Manual, and basically, I might mention something about it, but it tells you how to heal yourself with nothing essentially because the human body is designed to heal itself, and you just get out of its way and let it do its job. So yeah, that's basically me. I won't go too much into detail.
Okay. So regarding psychological operations behind the vaccine, the jab, I mean, what would be your take? Brother Galactic Clyde spoke about an act of war. How would you say it affects the mind?
Right. If you don't mind, I'd like to sort of depart from that that sort of area. I mean, yes, it will affect mine because essentially this whole thing, all of this is about us. If you know who the players are behind you know, everything that's going on right now, not only everything that's going on with this COVID stuff, everything that's gone on with this society that we find ourselves in. Yeah, we live in a Disneyland world that's been created for us so that we think it's normal and every day. But behind it is a bloodline that hates us, that wants to eradicate us off the face of the earth. And they've been trying for thousands of years. They've been trying. So we are in a war. We've been in a war for thousands of years, but we don't know it. Yeah, for the most part, we don't know that we're at war with this bloodline. Now, Clyde mentioned something about these vaccines, the history of the vaccines. These vaccines are race-specific bioweapons. Yeah, there is no such thing as a virus that you can catch. It's lies. Yeah, as I said, this whole society is built on lies, and you know, it's a known psychological thing that people will believe the big lie over the little lies. Yeah, so you know, we detect little lies all the time, but when they give us the big whoppers, we don't detect them. Yeah, so the whole idea of germ theory, yeah, it doesn't work like that. You don't breathe in a germ and it infects you. It doesn't work like that. Viruses and bacteria are things that your body creates, yeah, in response to either toxicity or dead and dying material. That's it. You know, you don't catch a virus, you create viruses. So literally, this whole idea about catching viruses and vaccinations is the fact that they poison us, and then we get symptoms, which is the body clearing, you know, or dealing with the poison. And then because we've got symptoms, we think we need to go to a doctor who gives us, let's say in this case, a vaccine, which poisons us even further. The human body is really hard to kill. So essentially, they know that they're not going to be able to kill everyone with a vaccine, right? So the whole of this great reset, everything that follows this is again comes back down to depopulation. So the great reset, they're putting us into smart cities, tracking our every move. It's just a means to an end to essentially kill us in an orderly fashion so that we don't escape. So literally they get all of us. I mean, I'm sorry to be sort of sound morose about this, but that's the fact of the matter. So there's a woman called Dr. Simone Gold who recently did a speech, and part of her speech was directed at the Black community, because she discovered that you know, this whole agenda, you know, especially the medical agenda, has been directed against the Black community. She highlighted the fact that, for instance, in this COVID thing, right, we're not susceptible to this COVID thing. You know, there's Africa had 0 cases. You know, Africa was not succumbing to any of this. And, you know, even though that in this country, they've started to try and tell us that we're 4 times more likely to get COVID. No, it's not true. at all. Yeah, it's just made up. So she also said that with the history of vaccines, they're deliberately manufactured so they affect us more than they affect anybody else. So that's why autism is rampant in our community, because they take this, you know, all children take the same vaccines, but our children get affected more than anybody else. It's a fact. So as I said, it's all based on lies, and germ theory is made up. Louis Pasteur, who was pushing germ theory, on his deathbed said, "I was wrong." His rival Antoine Béchamp, who was saying, "No, it's not germs. It's literally it's the environment that you're in. Yeah, if your environment is poisonous, then your body's going to be poisoned." So on his deathbed, Louis Pasteur said, "I was wrong. You know, there's no microbes or nothing. It's terrain that's everything." So yes, this is a war. It's against us. You know, everyone else is considered collateral damage. You know, the bloodline that runs this. You know, even though you know, there are people out there that look like them. Yeah, they consider them inferior because their blood isn't pure like they claim their blood is. So I was just wanted to speak to that. I also wanted to speak to what the MPs were saying. Now, I've noticed when that group of MPs, and also when Lenny Henry and his motley crew of House Negroes decided to talk to the Black community, they acknowledged the fact that we have a deep mistrust of the medical system. Yeah, they mentioned it. They mentioned it in the clip we heard, and as I said, Lenny Henry mentioned it as well. But you'll notice they never addressed it. We have a deep mistrust of the medical system for a damn good reason, because you know, most of us know if you go into a hospital with you know, ingrown toenail, you might come out with a leg missing or a kidney missing or something, you know, because they literally don't have any regard for our lives. Goes in with any ailment whatsoever, they'll try and whip out her womb as quickly as possible if they can get away with it. Right? Again, it's about destroying us, and one of the ways is to try and stop our reproduction. And this again feeds into this vaccination, because one of the effects of this vaccination is an attack on the reproductive cycle. Now, you hear a lot about this spike protein. Well, one thing you don't hear about this spike protein is that it's also a protein that's involved in building the placenta. So these mRNA vaccines, again, experimental gene therapies, they're not actually vaccines. What they do is they have a synthetic mRNA, messenger RNA, which instructs your DNA to create cells with this spike protein on. So what's supposed to happen, according to their theory, is that you build antibodies because you recognize this weakened version or part of the virus, and then you have antibodies against it. But the point is, your body has now created this artificial protein that your body's going to recognize as not you, and your body is going to attack itself, right? And it's called autoimmune disease. Well, we've seen that before. Back in Africa, back in the 70s and 80s, they brought out a smallpox vaccine and gave it to all these African people, and all of a sudden they started expressing this autoimmune disease. Well, autoimmune disease syndrome is called AIDS. That's what it is. All these vaccines create autoimmune diseases, right? And you know, it's it's actually too staggering to talk about. It's like, so what they did was they created this autoimmune disease and then gave people even more vaccines to try and get rid of the autoimmune disease, which caused more autoimmune diseases. So this is a well thought out, well executed plan. It's not a case of they threw in all sorts of stuff into these vaccines. They know exactly what every one of those components of these vaccinations, you know, are going to do to us. And again, I have to keep saying this. It's against us, and it's about our extermination. Yeah. One of these MPs said this has been robustly tested. No, it's not. It was created, this vaccine or gene therapy, I've got to stop calling it a vaccine, was whipped up in 9 months, where it takes usually 10 to 15 years to put one of these together. And it's not been approved by any governing body. It's been authorized for emergency use. So it's not the same thing as an approval at all. So we're essentially taking a completely experimental drug that nobody's ever seen the results for, you know. Well, step back. Yes, they have seen the results, because they tried these mRNA vaccines in animal trials using ferrets. And every time they used it, they killed all the ferrets. Yeah, but obviously they won't mention that, you know, to the population. And right now, what we're seeing is these vaccine or these gene therapies are causing blood clots left, right, and center. Now, a lot of people get a little confused, because every time they mention blood clots in the media, well, they say it's a rare occurrence. Well, when you see heart attacks, which there have been quite a few heart attacks, well, there are blood clots too. So are strokes. So are edemas. So are pulmonary edemas. Yeah. So are those horrific rashes. So are brain hemorrhages. They're all due to blood clots. Yeah? And there are doctors. Thousands of doctors have come out speaking out against all this, including Dr. Sukrit Bhakti and Dr. Mike Eden of a former VP of Pfizer. And there was another one, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. There were 3 of them, and all 3 of them warned of blood clots, you know, way before, you know, any of the people started dying of them, and people are dying in droves of them. But again, every time somebody dies of one of these vaccines, gene therapies, the system will say, "Oh no, there's no causal link. Oh, it's got nothing to do with it." It's, you know, people will get a gene therapy shot and die within minutes, and they'll say, "No, there's no causal link," and they're going to keep us, you know, hanging on and keep us soothed by just lying to us over and over and over again. So no, it's not been proven to be effective, as these MPs say. In fact, there is no COVID-19. There is no SARS-CoV-2. A whole bunch of us have been sending in freedom of information requests to every health organization in this country, and also the Cabinet Office, Boris Johnson's office, House of Lords, House of Commons, MHRA, anyone you can think of. And we've asked us the same question: have you got any, have you got, or have you isolated or purified, you know, this SARS-CoV-2 virus from a symptomatic patient? every one of these organisations said, no, we've not seen it, except Public Health England, who directed us to a website. And on that website, yeah, it sounds very much like they've isolated something, but you'll actually find a paragraph on that website that says, no virus isolates are available. And when you look further into it, you find they had a piece of DNA, basically, and they created the rest in a computer. So there is no such thing as SARS-CoV-2. What we've seen, and most probably know about this, is that the flu has been repurposed, repackaged, yeah, as SARS-CoV-2. So it just so happens that there's last year there was no flu, and it's literally been replaced by virtually the same numbers with this COVID-19. So no, it doesn't even exist. And yes, there are people who say they've got like some of the people on that clip. Yes, I had a mild case of COVID-19. Did you really? Or was it the flu, you know, or was it a sniffle? Yeah. The flu ranges in severity from mild cold symptoms to death. So yeah, there's been a lot of people who say, oh, yes, I got COVID-19, and it wasn't like any other flu or anything that I've ever had. Well, I'm pretty sure those people who died of the flu probably thought, oh, this is like nothing like I've ever had ever before. Yeah, because as I said, it's a range between mild cold symptoms and death. So anywhere in that range, yes, if you're up in the higher end of that range, yes, you're going to think like you've got something a bit serious. And again, there's some psychology behind it. Yeah, two people could have a mild flu, and if you told one of them, yeah, you've just got a cold, mate, and you told the other one, you've got a deadly virus, which one of them is going to feel worse? You know, it's natural psychology, and it's what's known as a nocebo effect. Yeah, if you believe you've got something deadly, you're likely to die of it. You know, if you actually believe a doctor who says, yes, you've got this and you've only got like 3 months to live, well, you know what, you better get your affairs in order, because, you know, your body's going to find some way to make that happen. So.
No, that is, I think you're right up on your time, Dave.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to get it all in, but.
No, it was amazing. I mean, I picked up on a few things that I just want to, you know, some people might think, you know, that what you're saying can sound a bit extreme at times. You know, you could hear the argument, but it's I've actually read a book called The Gap Syndrome about another doctor who, just as you said, found out his daughter who had got autism from a vaccine. So this was well before COVID-19. And I think one of the most interesting points that you talked about is with reference to people saying that the Black community is impacted by COVID-19 at a higher level. Well, if anybody had been actually looking at what's been going on with Black people in the NHS, in healthcare, even before COVID-19, we weren't getting access to the top level of care that the rest of the country were. And I think what I think is so powerful about what you're saying is that, you know, I recently I was spending time in the hospital because we had a new baby, and you know, you hear all these stories about these days about women, Black women going into the hospitals, and they're coming out having issues, you know, with the baby, the mothers having problems. And I feel like it's even more than it was maybe 10, 20 years ago. So this all kind of leads towards this kind of rhetoric that you're helping us be aware of them actually going for our people at a very strategic and high level. So Dave, I thank you. I thank you very much for your contribution today. I'm going to go over some of the comments that we're getting in, because I want to thank everybody who's in attendance. Big up yourselves. Big up yourselves. Know that you are not alone and that your community stands with you. We've got, I think it's Brother Marcus says, the script has been written and actors have already shown their hand, so there is no point in discussing our Black MPs' non-participation. That's a fact. You know, the Black MPs, or the MPs that were supposed to attend here, we gave them the opportunity to come forward and give us the facts, and they decided that they just want to left us. So we're going to talk to ourselves about exactly how we need to be acting moving forward, because they're not representing us. We've got Galactic Clyde coming out saying, anyone who tells us vaccines are safe and effective is lying. Vernon Coleman. Darius says, big flax, it's a bloodline warfare, hence why we need to stop calling ourselves Africans. Okay, Darius, I don't know. Apparently we need to stop calling ourselves Africans. I don't know if that's the way forward, but definitely if they are coming for a certain race, it does feel like they are trying to come down on us. We also got Marcus said a lot of research going in Canada about the vaccine impact on the female's menstrual cycle and the spikes in miscarriages. I have heard a lot about that myself. So last but not least, let's see what Anne Farrell has first got a comment here saying, greetings everyone. In my view, our creator did not make disease. Our environment, both physical and mental, is destroying us. Our only survival is separation from our separate oppressors. We need to unite, heal, and do for selves, supporting our African nation to progress. Oh, that's a great message to finish off with. Everybody just keep on giving your messages. We'll try and make sure we read out as many possible. And as Anne said, we need to unite, heal, and do for selves. And I want to, as I mentioned, I want to big up everybody inside here today, because that's exactly what we're doing, uniting, coming together, and making sure that we all are consecrated in that information from our own community. We don't need to necessarily go out over there. We know that there's people within our community with the expertise that can give us those comments. So thank you. So without further ado, we're going to give way to our next speaker. Do I have Theresa Hatchett? Do I have Theresa? Theresa, sister, elder. Theresa, you there? Auntie Jean, do you know if we have Theresa?
She did come in. She did.
Yes, she has come in. I'm just looking to see if she's still there, because a couple of people have dropped out.
All right, no problem. While we wait, okay, I'm gonna perform a poem that no, I'm joking. I don't have but anybody out there today, no, nothing like that. But JJ, are you there? JJ, you gonna?
Yes, bro, I'm here.
Yes, brother JJ is in the place. So JJ, I know at the start we might have been one way or the other about the vaccine. Which way have you decided? Are you taking? Are you not taking it? What do you think?
Well, I'm always open to information. I feel that history would be a great way to look at the relationship of vaccines and whatnot on the people and show their success. Because just like you mentioned earlier, every time I kind of have this conversation, everybody runs over to polio. So, oh, polio this, polio that. So now I'm very interested to know what is the productive measures. One thing that I'm really cautious about, though, is that it keeps being called a vaccine. And I've seen it at sometimes being called an mRNA. So, I mean, I'm not a scientist. What's an mRNA? Why are you calling it that? And then you're calling it a vaccine. And when I Googled the word vaccine, it says something that will stop you from catching something and stop you from passing it on. So from what they're saying on the news, this won't stop you from catching it and it won't stop you from passing it on. So I'm really concerned about what our Black MPs have gone across party lines. You know, they squabble all day, left and right, but they've come together on this one point that we as Black people need to fix up and take the vaccine. So I want to know, based on what authority, you know, we've put these people in the positions that they're in. we're relying on them. They're supposed to be acting on everybody's behalf, but especially our behalf. And I'm not seeing any due diligence. I'm not seeing any facts. I'm not seeing any argumentative points. You know, I'm concerned. So I would have loved for them to be here today. But again, as you said, we're going to have to talk and talk and talk amongst ourselves. And, you know, it's a damn shame that they weren't here to really reflect where they were coming from.
So true. Dave has got his hand raised, and also Theresa has unmuted. So Dave.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I was actually invited to participate in another such meeting with the NHS, who are trying to coerce basically the Black community up in Chester to take the vaccine. Now, a friend of mine who is one of the leaders of that community tried to get me, sneak me in so I could ask the questions that they didn't want to hear. But they basically said, no, he can't come in because they do not want to face any opposition. They want to be able to manufacture consent. Yeah. They will use various techniques to steer the conversation or towards, you know, the end result of, yeah, everyone take the vaccine, because this whole thing is take the vaccine at all costs. Yeah, so they'll lie to us left, right, and center. They'll use emotional blackmail, like they'll use people like Lenny Henry and all, you know, Black celebrities, and you know, to make us take this thing. Yeah, but here's the thing. I follow the Old Testament, and I'm watching this the Old Testament play out right now, right in front of us. It's no accident that at the end of the 400 years, yeah, all hell breaks loose, and you know, before a worldwide judgment, they're just so sorry, worldwide exodus. There's a worldwide judgment, and guess what? Demographic, you know, all around the world, there's one demographic of people who aren't taking the vaccine. I wonder who they could be. Yeah, it's no accident. Yeah. So anyway, that's all I want to say.
Well, I think that is a very beautiful point, and I think every single one of us should just be happy that, you know, we as a Black community are standing for something. You know, we hear a lot of people, they want to, you know, put the Black community to the side and not take their opinion, but you know, the Black community are standing up and saying they're not taking this vaccine, and I think that is that's an amazing thing. And I want everybody here today, you know, as much as we wanted to bring today together as an opportunity to put those MPs to task and ask them the most important questions, but because they're not here, I think it's just so important for us to, you know, understand that we're not alone as a community who are very, very skeptical of this. And every time you walk out there, because you are being bombarded with all of this information that is basically saying, take the vaccine all the time, take vaccine. It's so important that we fortify ourselves in our own spiritual knowledge, our own knowledge of self, our own community. And that's what we're doing in this right now, you know, further fortifying our own knowledge. So I give thanks to everybody. Sister Patricia, do we have Theresa?
Yes, she's here. You just call her Theresa.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hi.
This is just beautiful to see everyone, and Dave, you nailed it. Fantastic. My contribution is really looking at the spiritual aspect of what's happening now. There's a war against women, and the war is against their hereditary mothers who pass on the microbiome through the birth canal and top it up with the breast milk. Now, the question I ask people is, if we have survived for all these eons with this natural way, with nutrition and with the way that the bacteria, fungus, and viruses within inside of us is working in symbiosis with us for all these eons, and within 5 minutes, we've got man designing something that's going to split our immunity, rearrange it like a zipper the other way around, and make us, instead of making us a generalist with our immunity, going to make us specialists, which means that if another disease comes along, we're not going to be able to adapt quick enough to survive. Why are they doing it? I think they're doing it because they want to get rid of quite a lot of people, and they also want to make sure your spirit stays wherever the material world is and not rise up. This is a 4-generation plan, not a 1-generation plan. So we shouldn't really be concerned about today. We should be concerned about our great-grandchildren, because once this is in the body, and they've now done research that it passes through the blood-brain barrier into the child, we are going to have children born with a totally different setup. And the transhumanism is just at the beginning stages. This is a very, very long-term plan, and it is coming from a place that is very, very unsupportive of us as humans.
Anybody got any thoughts on that?
Yes, Sister Theresa. I mean, that was, succinct and just powerful, straight to the point. I think what I think was so interesting is because we're speaking about health and well-being, and the Black woman has been under attack for so many years now. Do you think it's our job as a community to protect the woman and our lineage, to protect the children that are going to come after us? So could you speak more to how you think that this is specifically looking to go against, that whole reproduction kind of process, and what you think we can do to mitigate and stop it?
Okay, the first medicine is family. Families need to be families, because a woman on her own is vulnerable. Children coming from that union is vulnerable. So we need to find a way to unify our families and our village and protection of our people. If we are the parents of the nation and of all the people of the world, we have a group of people, for whatever happened to them, who are now trying to get rid of their own parents. They are not only attacking the woman, but they're attacking the environment around the woman, the epigenetics. When a child is born into stress, they have outcomes like mental illness. So there are all of the social economic challenges that we have comes from the breakdown of the family, the breakdown of the relationship between a male and a female. A woman is a gatherer, a man is a hunter. And so if you think about women are gathering, but they're gathering a lot of toxins, mental illnesses. In the birthing, in the hospital environment, the child comes into the world already with severe problems. The cesarean that women are kind of encouraged to have is making the child immunity not be at 100%. If a child is not born through the natural way because of the stress or the illness of a mother, their immunity is impacted. They're now finding out that they have to bring blankets from home to give the child the first experience of the microbiome that they would have had from coming through the natural birthing canal. We have to get to understand who we are. That's the first thing. Then we have to start protecting each other, because I think we're dealing with people who are not well. I think there's something seriously wrong with them, and we should start to look at them in that way and stop treating them as if they were the same as us. There's something seriously wrong with the way that they look at life and how they want to turn life into an artificial, materialistic world.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that they are looking to really push forward with this agenda of, making the world into this artificial reality. And I agree with you entirely that we, if we are parents of the earth, need to be the ones that stand up for truth and life. I think one of the most important things is us, coming together in spaces like this, in forums like this, in our localities, with our families, in our direct families, and you know, being those people that stand up for the truth. Because if you can stop your family from making any mistakes in terms of taking certain things that would be hostile to their bodies, and start living out that truth of wellness, living out that truth of the kind of family values that are not promoted in today's society. Because even if we talk about medical genocide, that's one thing. There's also the agenda to split up the black home and to take the black woman away from the black man, and to turn the black man into a man that wears a dress, and to turn the black woman into a woman that never had a man in her life, but maybe still has a baby. The whole point, I think, is that they're really trying to take us away from who we are. So really, really love that you were able to put across that point of, it's time for us to start being that change. If you want to be free of this system, it's important that you exercise that system from inside you, and you start to live in a way that is fully understanding of the world that we're living in today, and is there to, that's ready to stand up for the truth. You know, JJ, I want to bring you and say, you know, we wish we had some MPs here. I wish
Yes, we
there was
did.
an MP to come and respond to
Exactly, to be bouncing off of, to be giving us some of this beautiful clarity that they have.
Yeah.
They're cockfire and they're cocksure, fired up, ready. They want every arm jabbed, and they want the black community to be out there queuing up for this thing.
Yeah.
And I still don't know why. I still ain't heard no good information for me to accept or to even think about the things that they're talking about. You know, even myself, to give you some clarity myself, I did one of the tests. Yeah, I had a bit of a cold. I did one of the tests, and the test came back positive. And now everybody's telling me I need to go and get the jab. But I don't understand why, because if I've already had it in my system and the germ theory works, then shouldn't I have element of the thing still in me? Therefore, I am vaccinated. I need some clarity. And I guess the MPs who are out there putting themselves across party lines in the face of the people have the answer. I just want to, there's a hand raised by Marcus. Can we bring in Marcus?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can't see you, but we can hear you, sir.
Okay, I'd just like to make a quick point, a little contribution about 2 points that have been raised. I think a point was, someone made a point in the chat about separation, and I know you asked a question about like the psychological impact. My contribution is this: I wouldn't consider myself a religious person, though I believe I am a spiritual person. And it's quite interesting, the fact that this meeting was called, which is very good, by the way, and the MPs who are not here, that tells me on a psychological level that what we're dealing with here is, it's a separation. This is the separation. This is like a great separation. And it caused me, though I'm non-religious, to look in my Bible, because I remember when I was young, and I remember the story of Rebecca, which is in Genesis, with the twins in her stomach, the two nations fighting. And when I add that to what's going on today, our own people cannot come amongst us, the MPs, and speak to us, because as far as I'm concerned, that is part of what's happening. This is the separation. Also Matthew 3:12, where it talks about the barn separating the wheat from the chaff. This is the separation on a psychological level, even amongst family, even amongst our own people. There is a separation that this is causing. It's basically those who are for this vaccine and listening to the words of our former slave masters, and those who are hesitant, resistant, hell no, whatever you want to call it. This is the separation. Yeah, we can't continue looking at one another and saying, well, you know, you're part of the family. Yes, brother. Yes, sister. We're all together in this. This is not what's going on. There is a separation going on right now, and we have to face this psychologically. And the righteous will win. The righteous will win, because this is about righteousness. This is about saying, I think it was Theresa's point about, with viruses for years centuries, and we've lived with viruses and these things. But again, as Dave said, this fairyland, Disneyland that we live in, we've been told something completely different. So finally, all I want to, hello.
Go ahead, yes, bro, we can hear you.
No, sorry. Yeah, finally, all I want to say is, again, you know, when we just bear in mind that we're living in 2021, yeah, in, you know, the modern era where we're meant to be at the cutting edge of science and understanding and everything else. But yet we are so easily led. This is so sad that most of this is going on a psychological level. This is not necessarily about color. I just put in the chat, just the last thing I want to say is just make sure we've got a thorough understanding, Black people, of Mendel's law and what the eugenics movement is all about. We need to arm ourselves with an understanding of both of those things, Mendel's law and the eugenics movement, which was founded and started in America, and its relationship to many of the players that are in the world now, speaking, the famous people, the Gateses and these type of people, and find out what their connection is to the eugenics movement, which is alive and well, by the way, in America. Thank you.
Give thanks, brother. Good thanks, brother. What a great topic to think about. Mendel's law with the dominant and recessive genes. People, please look into that. I've got a raised hand here from Brother Dave. If you could just give me a 2-minute sum up of what you wanted to contribute to the conversation.
Okay. One of the things is the MPs aren't our people. Got to put it that way. There was a film from the 70s called Trick Baby. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but a trick baby is a who can pass as white. And this character, it's a dinner party scene, is in basically in white high society. And they basically open up and tell exactly how they use us. So they say, when they find a smart one in the ghetto, they don't leave him there because he might become a leader against them. What they do is they elevate them, give them really good jobs, give them some money, give them a nice car, and they essentially become them, you know. And we lose faith in them. These are the people, right, who are the MPs, the celebrities. They no longer sort of relate to us anymore. So they're literally doing what they're being told, and they've been told, get these Black people taking this vaccine. That's one thing. There was a couple of things about the taking the vaccine, right? People who have taken a vaccine have suffered a personality change. There's lots and lots of reports of people taking this vaccine and just losing something about themselves. So it was one of the sisters was saying earlier on about that, and I've forgotten what it was, but literally that's something that's being reported. The other thing that's rather unsettling is now reports are coming out that the vaccinated are now a danger to the unvaccinated. Yeah, the spike protein, right, that's their bodies are now creating, is being expelled by the body's natural detoxification modalities, and now you become affected by this spike protein. And there are stories of people, and this is just coming out now, stories of people where the husband has just got vaccinated, the wife hasn't. They go to bed and she wakes up in the morning with blood clots. So
whoa, 2 meter distance, please, vaccine people.
Well, this is the thing, you know, we might end up going back to this idea of, you know, this separation because they could be a danger to us. I don't know if I've got time to just advance a solution that we're trying.
Can we keep that to the end, please, Brother Dave? Because we've got there's a couple of raised hands and we've got to move on with the schedule. Yeah,
absolutely. So,
yep. But thank you for your contribution, brother, as always. Yeah. Next, I just want to move on very quickly to Diane Scott. Thank you very much, Miss. Just very briefly, in 1 minute, can you just share what you wanted to share before we
Yeah,
move on?
just in 1 minute. I'll try and do it in 1 minute. If you check on the World Health Organization's website, before the vaccine came out, it showed that roughly about 110 million people were infected with COVID. Out of those 110 million people, at least 98% recovered from COVID without getting any vaccination, and about 3 million had died. The world population is 7 billion. If you divide the 3 million deaths to date into 7 billion, yeah, where 3/4 of the world population has not been infected with COVID, you would work out that you are at least 2,000 times less likely to catch COVID. The body's immune system can deal with it. I work for one of the biggest hospital trusts in the UK, and I have been at odds because I've been questioned. I said, this is according to the data provided by the medical establishment. It shows that most people that get COVID can recover. It shows that you're 2,000 times less likely to catch COVID because 3/4 of the world's population will not get COVID. As Galactic, sorry, I didn't get his name, said, herbs can deal with it. Hydroxychloroquine has been shown to be successful in dealing with COVID, which they're trying to stop. There's an organization where there's 70,000 doctors that have supported hydroxychloroquine. I can never pronounce it properly. What Galactic?
Write it into the group maybe later on.
Okay, I will do that. I will do that. Yeah.
Okay,
right. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
No problem. Pleasure. The other hands that are raised, I'm gonna have to come back to you. I'm gonna have to get straight on with the schedule at the moment, but you are noted. Okay, brother T, you want 1 minute?
Well, if you give T a minute, you're gonna have to give Darius a minute too, innit?
Okay, very good point. All right, so I'll tell you what, we're coming back to you, but you're first in the list, brother T, and then Darius, yeah? Moving on with the schedule. Next, we should have Dr. Aubrey Oliver and Rash Alkaline. Are you there? Are you in the building?
Unmute yourselves. They're both there.
Yeah, I'm here. But is Alkaline going to go on first, or should I just go ahead and talk?
You can go ahead.
You might as well go ahead and talk. You're
here, man. You ready?
All right.
All right.
I mean, what the brother was saying about the spike protein, I'm just going to get right into it. I mean, yes, that's what's the study that I just came off with other doctors, that are actually trying to sue the CDC because we asked them for samples of these patients that they claim died from COVID, and 15,000 of these tests have been done by these combination of doctors around the states that know that this is a big lie, and all they could find was A1 and type A and B, different type of flus, H1N1, different type of flu that were, in the 15,000 that they tested, there was no such thing as COVID found. So, and that's just a small sample. So you can imagine that represents a big percentage of what they claim. I mean, there's another insider at CDC that quits that says of the 500,000 people that they claim died from COVID, they gave a list of numbers. 70,000 is heart disease. Another 40,000 is liver and other underlying condition that these people have. But they said not even 6% of this virus that they claim is doing this damage. And these news are kept undercover because you have people that are there that are losing their jobs, that are being threatened, if they continue speaking about these things. What the young lady just says about hydrochloroquine, simple things that we have out there that can just protect us from this spike protein. But what they're finding is that the spike protein is what's been causing all of these symptoms. It's been causing, that's what the COVID is. It's a spike protein that they built in the lab, and it started right here in the United States. But I think when Dr. Fauci and the others saw that it's going to be clear that it started in the state, they sent a grant of 3.7 million to Wuhan University at the same time to say they're doing a bilateral kind of experiment and research. And so this money was necessary to see what they were doing in Wuhan with getting this corona from the animal to see how it affects normal biological cells. All lies. The spike protein is what they made in the lab. It's a spike protein that they call the COVID, and it's now the spike protein that they're injecting in you. There's no vaccine. This thing is not a vaccine at all. Stop using the word vaccine. There's no such thing. You know, someone injecting spike protein in your body is not a vaccination. Vaccination to what? To their spike protein that they made in the lab? We need to stop calling this a vaccine. And once we stop calling it a vaccine, then we see that everything else is a lie. Everything else is a big lie. And once we understand that, then we can start the healing process. We can start the protection. You know, we know that all of these symptoms, from the blood clotting that happens to the heart, the liver, the embolism, all the things that have been killing our people, is from this spike protein that they put in the, as a matter of fact, let's go back real quick to 1961, when they made the HIV virus right here in the United States to get rid of the undesirables. At the time, the undesirables were the homosexuals and so forth. They decided to put this HIV, the way, because they know a lot of, back then, a lot of drug users were also homosexual and bisexuals. And they were suffering from hepatitis. They mixed this virus, or this mRNA virus, because mRNA virus is man-made. So that's what COVID is. It's an mRNA virus. So they mix it with the hepatitis medicine, and then with the drug users, and that's how it spread so fast. It had to be through blood. They're doing the same thing today. What they've done in India, Africa, look at India. India is just finally exploding because Bill Gates been down there for a few years injecting these people with this spike protein. What's going to happen right now with the spike protein that they're putting into people today as what they call, you know, a vaccine, the big lie? It's that for some people, it happens right away. It kills you right away. I mean, we have lost a few good people, Black people. Just recently, one of my favorite reporters in Jamaica just took it at the end of March, and he was gone within 2 weeks. And our media, our line media in Jamaica that works for the CIA and works for the, you know, the DEA and all these other federal agencies, had the nerve to say this man died from COVID, when we saw him taking this thing on the air to prove, because he was trying to be, you know, to say he's helping the public, but it caught him. It nipped him and it took him out. So this spike protein, in some cases, depends on your biological setup, depends on your health, your underlying causes. You could die within hours of it. You can die within weeks. You could die within 6 months. You would die within 3 years. Some people will even have it longer and carry it around as carrier. And as the brother was saying earlier, that will spread it to others. Right now, the people who are taking this spike protein need to be quarantined from people who did not take it. They need to be quarantined. We need to stay away from them because they didn't get the result from just getting it out in the air and you know, just spraying it, you know, because that's what they did in Wuhan and in Hong Kong. The Chinese government used it against the protesters in Hong Kong. It got out of hand and spread. And that's why we have it all over the place, because one person take it from Hong Kong and a bunch of them fly to New York, and they can't, you know, New York and Hong Kong is a big air transport, airports. So that's why New York got hit so hard. Some of these people went to Italy. Some of them went to Iran. And in the early stage, we saw these places getting hit harder because they brought the spike protein with them that the Chinese government unleashed on their people. They didn't use tanks this time like Tiananmen Square. They used COVID. They knew that the Americans were making this biological weapon, and they wanted to be a part of it because they have undesirables in their among them. That once you protest in China, you're undesirable, and they will get rid of you. And they were looking for a method, and this was perfect. But guess what? It got out of hand. So, but it did not kill the masses that Bill Gates and those fools wanted. So they come back again. They have the nerve to come back now and inject it and get people to volunteer to take it. That's what's so sad about this whole thing. They get us so scared with the work of the government, the so-called government, our enemies. Because I mean, right now we got to understand that the government is our enemies. The government is doing everything in their power to have us take this thing. And they know the damages that's going to be doing. They know that they don't have to take it. They fake it on the air. The 1 or 2 people that take it and that are healthy, Thomas Hearn, I mean, not Thomas Hearn, Marvis Agler, when he took it, within weeks, he was gone. He called Thomas Hearns and said, look, buddy, I took this vaccine and I don't feel well. Within weeks, he was dead. The same thing with reporter in Jamaica. One of our politicians in my community in Portland, the same thing. He was healthy. He went and took it to prove to his local constituents that it's good. They're fools. They didn't realize that most of the politicians that you see on TV doing it, they fake it. They thought, they can do it and then they're dead. So we have to, what these scientists are doing, these doctors that have done the 15,000 tests and see that there was no such thing as COVID, that CDC people who are quitting and saying that, it's not even 6% that really die from this thing. But they got the hype out, they got the fear going, and now they're getting exactly what they want. People voluntarily taking it. So when you voluntarily take it now, you become a carrier, you're spreading it. They don't need to actually mass, inject and jab the majority. They just need to do about half. That half will take care of the rest of the other half. So how do we protect ourselves? That is the question. How do we get this stuff out of our system or not let it get into our system? And that's where the Almighty, the Creator, all the stuff that He has created over the centuries through the ancestors, let the ancestors expose certain crystals and certain things to us. That's what's going to protect us. Nothing else. The stuff from the beginning. We have to go back. We have to restore our health back to Africa, the things that the Africans use. That's why they're killing so many of our African leaders who have realized the lie, and they're using natural remedies down there in Madagascar and in Kenya and Tanzania, and they don't like that. So the CIA and all the other fools that are out there, they have come together and killing our leaders that are who have woken up. As you wake up, they want to get rid of you. So you have to be careful. Alkaline and myself have to be careful now these days. Because I'm not afraid to speak out to save lives, even if it means my life. I want to see lives saved, and that we have to take a stand. So a bunch of physicians are now getting ready to sue the CDC for this lies, and of course, you're going to have carnage because they're not, these agency that works for them are just out for blood. But they got what they want. They got the majority of people now to want to voluntarily take the poison to spread it to the rest of the world, and they will get their 2/3 depopulation or 1/3, whatever they're looking for, the numbers they want. They're going to get it, and it's going to happen in the next 18 months, 3 years. And they're not going to take any blame because they already got the governments to not blame any of the vaccine company for passing on this poison of death. So what we have to do as a people now is get ourselves organized and understand that this is a battle, a fight for our lives. Also, be hopeful the world will never go to these people. It will never go to these people. It's always going to be good over evil. And that's what keeps me going. Even if my life is taken, I know good will win. And so all those who understand what they're doing, what they're bringing to us, what this fight is about, let's unite and keep the battle going. And there's a lot of things that you can take. Just be healthy. I mean, God's sun, the sun that is there will keep you healthy. Get out in the sun. My brothers and sisters, those like ladies who like to walk around with umbrellas, get rid of the umbrellas in the sun. The sun is coming up now. Now's the time to build up your immune system, build up your vitamin D, the real vitamin D, because a lot of this vitamin D supplement does nothing anyway, you know. So you have to now do the things that are natural. Go out into the wild, take a trip out into the what they call the Kent and those places. Eat those wild berries that will build up your vitamin B12. Just eating it, just picking it off the bunch. Try and go somewhere where there's no pesticide or carbon dioxide from cars and stuff. Go into the wild and just eat from the wild. Those things will protect you. They will protect you. They will get below the acid in your system, go where the B12 is being formed, and you get the real B12. The B12 that they're selling you is cyanocobalamin, methylcobalamin. These are all chemicals. Cyanocobalamin is cyanide, if you don't understand what that means. And you look at your bottle and you see B12. If you see cyanocobalamin, don't take it. That's cyanide. These same pharmaceutical companies that are making vitamins have no reason to give you the right and healthy stuff. The right and healthy stuff is from Mother Nature. It's out there in the wild. That's where you're gonna get the cures. So don't look at the supplements. A lot of these supplements, vitamin B, look at vitamin C. What do they give you when you buy these vitamin C? Ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is like so bad for you. Ascorbic acid get rid of your natural vitamin C. The natural vitamin C that you're taking from citrus and those things, when you take an ascorbic acid tablet, it depletes that. But yet that's what emergency ascorbic acid. So we need to look at the things that these pharmaceutical companies are making. They got into supplements now. They got into vitamin supplements and mineral supplements. But you have to look and see what chemicals they're actually substituting. Because they have to put in the parentheses. So you'll see vitamin C. In parentheses, you see ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is not vitamin C. You go to B12, you see B12. In parentheses, you see cyanocobalamin. What is cyanocobalamin? Cyanide. They're so blatant. The same thing with mercury. Now mercury is in a lot of supplements. Mercury is in these jabs. Mercury have always been a killer of mass proportion, but now they're changing the name. They're different companies are using a variance of name. I have to get those for you and post it. But so you have to look out for mercury. Mercury is in a lot of these so-called supplements and vitamins and so forth. And this jab that you're getting is full of mercury because that's what transported through your system. Mercury moves fast. It's like quicksilver, so it helps move things. It helps the spike protein work faster and so forth. So they use, and then, oh man, they're using baboon and other, what they call them, not the stem cells from like old fetuses from 1980s, aborted fetuses. That's what I think Johnson is using in theirs. So either way, if you take this jab, you're gonna put some garbage inside of you that you're not gonna get rid of. Once it's in, it's in. And once it's attached to your cell walls, once it's attached to your mitochondria, that's the first thing it affects. Your mitochondria, which is the energy source of your cell. 99.9% of people who take the jab, the first thing they have to do is go home and just lay back and just like they don't know what hit them, because it goes directly to their cell source, the part of the cell that produces your ATP so you could have energy to function normal. That's the first thing this jab attacks. the spike protein. It starts killing your immune system so that this operating system that they're injecting inside of you will take over your body. That's why people personality change. That's why they don't advise you to have sex with people who have it, who get the jab. So it's you know, they know what they're doing. This was planned from in the 90s. They had everything ready. What, I mean, does it make any sense that HIV and other viruses that are out there, they can't find a vaccine, but all of a sudden they can find something for something in less than a few months? They had this all planned. And I don't understand how stupid the majority of people are that they're falling for this.
Mm-hmm.
I just came from San Francisco a few days ago. I just landed this morning in Miami from Las Vegas. And I cannot believe what's going on. They're turning mothers and daughters and sisters against each other. It's like biblical proportion what's going on. I was supposed to see a patient when I got to San Francisco. I got a call from the son, who is in his 60s and the mother is in her 80s, saying that, oh, did you get your jab? And I said, no. Oh, well, you can't see my mom. I was like, dude, I'm here. I'm not rushing to see your mom. Your mom had the jab. I don't have to see her. She's the one who already put the poison. Then he called me back. Oh, my mom wants to see you because she said as long as you wear your mask. So I'm like, she got the jab. What's she worrying about me wearing a mask? You know, I don't have anything. She's the one I'm supposed to be afraid of. But anyway, I went to see her and do my assessment, and and basically kept my mask on because I know that she took the jab, and she basically, it's just a matter of time. She's a strong 80-year-old woman, but some of us are stronger than others. Some are weaker. I mean, I eat healthy and I also eat bad, and I'm not taking anything that's going to add to that because I mean, I rather at least, certain food that I don't want to, get rid of. I don't want them to poison me. Let me do my own poison on my own. I don't want them to add to my poison. You know
That's
what I mean?
true. Dr. Oliver?
Yes.
Maybe you're showing the time.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah,
So basically,
so
let's get back to nature. Let's restore ourselves back to nature.
Okay. All right. We're go on to Alkaline.
Are you there? Is he there?
Yes, he did drop out, but he did come back in again. But unmute yourself.
We're going to take those two hands raised, Jean.
Sorry?
We've got two hands raised, Dayo.
Yeah, but it's still in the middle. If Alkaline is not there, Alkaline, can't see, he must have dropped out again. Okay, then we go to the questions.
Yeah, he told me he's been having some problem getting on, but so
he came on, he dropped out.
I told him to talk about the some of the herbal remedies that he's working with that will help the immune system. But I mean, the main thing is to get your immune system up. I mean, basically, and there's, it's simple. It's not anything hard. But what they're jabbing into you is to replace your immune system. Just know that.
Mm-hmm.
It's an operating system. Bill Gates designed that years ago through a liquid with mercury and other things. They're putting little microbes and little not microbes, because microbes can be good. They're putting little chips inside your body, to reassess your whole cell development and your whole they can control you at some point. And as they advance to 5G to 7G to 10G, they can actually monitor you with these things that they put inside it. So it's a whole plan to control. It's all about control and death. So go ahead, questions.
Darius?
And
you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Hi, I just want to talk about on how I'm all about Black colonialism, and in terms of like how we can better each other's relations amongst each other is through linguistics, and you must stop communicating in this English curse language, and I think we should just go back to Hebrew, and because everyone's getting their piece of pie from Africa. So like China is teaching the African children their language, and that's a form of colonialism. So that's what we need to do. We need to, and as like that lady said, we need to improve our families, rebuild the family structure again. And yes, young people always encourage other young people to leave their family homes. And that's very wrong. Even in times when captivity and bondage, still young people are encouraging young people to leave their family homes. And I don't understand that, because I've seen women on their own for too long at the beginning of the time, innit? Like, for me, they are the ones that's carrying the ship. They're carrying the ship. So, and the men are not doing enough in the Black community. And it's like, I had a mentor. He said he's in his 40s, and he said, if I leave my mom, this is so funny. If I leave my mom, yeah, the people, men would turn the house into it would turn the environment into like a harlot. You know what I mean? Turn the mum into a harlot. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's very important because men.
Okay.
But wait.
I just want to challenge you, brother.
Look, let me finish what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
Look, I'm gonna go back to the vaccine, like literally. Okay, cool. So let me just say, getting we need to create infrastructure. Yeah, not take the vaccine. We need to disconnect. So what I wrote, yeah, is getting off-grid equipment to create infrastructure, which will create social group of unity and chemistry that would enable no interaction from the infected ones. So the people that took the jab are infected. They are called infected. It is very important that we do not eat or drink with the ones that are infected with the jab. Cross-contamination is very dangerous to our civilization. Your heart and attachment of family members that are infected with the lethal jab have to stay well clear from them, just in case you don't get infected also. Let's enjoy the Hunger Games. We have all been watching these types of movies from Hollywood for a long time, and are going to get access to everything. So what that means, yeah, the people with the jab are gonna get access to everything. Like, say we're split up in zones. So zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. I live in zone 1. So that's in Hackney, Islington, etc., etc. So imagine now, in zone 1, like, I need to get petrol, but it's in zone 3. And like, they're gonna propose, all right, cool. The only way for you to get petrol now is that you need to have a vaccine, or you need to have some proof that you know what I mean. You need to have some proof, yeah, that you've taken a vaccine. So to have access to these lovely things that society provides. So the best solution for the ones that don't take the jab is to start thinking off-grid farming, and yeah, just to like make sure we face any oppression, like going back to nature. So that's what I just want to say. Like,
Thank
Black
you.
Lives Matters.
Give thanks, bro.
You know what I mean? Like,
Thank you for
I
that.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
and also the white.
We can save the rest of it till after. Okay, we'll have time at the end.
Yeah.
All right, so give thanks.
Can I ask Dr. Or I don't know if it's Dr. Aubrey, but specifically around the topic, I don't know if Brother Aubrey's still with us.
Yes, Dr. Aubrey's still there.
Yeah, specifically around this idea. I don't want us to take too much time up with it, but this idea of those people who are vaccinated are now a danger. You know, what kind of sums up to me is that this idea of separation is something that they want, and I'm not against making sure I'm away from people who are vaccinated if I have to, but that's something that's completely new to me in terms of, like, I've only been made aware of that in this conversation now, that there would be something that we now should be wary of them now as they're vaccinated. So I wanted to ask, what exactly is that again? And can that be highlighted a little bit more. And also, I know Brother Aubrey mentioned some of the
no questions, yeah.
precious,
All about colonialism.
Yeah, the precious metals and crystals. So I wanted to know if Dr. Aubrey or Brother Aubrey knew what, because I've got my shungite and my copper right here. So I always keep my shungite close and my copper, but I want to know what precious materials Brother Aubrey thinks will keep us protected from whatever we have to be wary of if the people that are vaccinated are a danger to us.
Dr. Aubrey, did you hear the question?
I think you must have run.
Repeat that again. Sorry about that.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, no worries, my brother. I'll make it quick. It was just with reference to if the vaccinated people are a danger to the unvaccinated people. Could you just speak to why that is exactly? And also, I want to know what metals, precious materials, because I heard you mention about crystals, and metals isn't the right word, but precious materials. I heard you mention crystals. Which ones do you think would be the best to keep an individual protected from this kind of thing?
Okay. Well, when you look at what spike protein is, basically the body is producing it's producing a protein that they said supposed to. We don't know right now if there's a shut off or it continues. We don't know. Basically, we're still waiting. Even Pfizer, Moderna, all of them is waiting to see how this is working in the human body. I think some people immune system can probably shut it off and basically is strong enough to not let it keep producing. There's others, as soon as they get it, it's just keep producing, and within weeks they're gone, and it just overtakes everything in the body. So for the different crystals that different stones that I'm thinking. I mean, I know with shungite, what's the one, the
shungite? Yeah, shungite.
I know it's more dealing with the radiation effects and so forth. But what we understand is that these protein multiplication and other things that are going to be taking place will be affected by the high radiation coming from 5G, 7G. These are all military type of production and machinery that they have set up to work with these operating system that they're injecting in you. Because I will never again use the word vaccine, because none of this is vaccine. So these operating system that they're putting inside of you will work with the radiation. So any one of the stones, you have one from Africa that's also black, like shungite. All of those stones that deal with radiation poisoning, and also certain minerals such like iodine and other things like that will protect you from these poisoning. That's gonna escalate the spike protein producing in your body. So we're still waiting to see. In some people, we see where it's controlled, and I guess once they turn on their system of 5G and stuff, then it will start producing. And then there's other people that it's just producing. As soon as they get it injected in their body, it just keeps going, and they're sick. Some people are not home, cannot work because it just makes them actually can't move without getting assistance. So we're still waiting to see, just like how we have waited to see what really happened, what this COVID thing was about. Now we understand that it's a spike protein that they develop in the lab that's been causing all the blood clotting and all the other symptoms. One thing we know for sure, because even the companies that make this stuff says the side effect of this spike protein will be autoimmune disease. Now, if you know anything about autoimmune disease, it's one of the worst way to go in life, one of the worst disease to take on. Talking about things like lupus, MS, rheumatoid arthritis, some of the most painful things that your body can go through will come on you when you have this spike protein producing in your body. So you look at anti-inflammatory substance that will work, like a ester C like NAC. For your cells, the mitochondria of your cells, you go back to CoQ10. You need to get the real ones, as I said again. A CoQ10, cysteine, cysteine, and that's the one for the NAC. And then there's also carnitine, L-carnitine, that works with making your mitochondria healthy, the cells that produces the ATP in your body, so you can have that energy to fight off these spike protein that if you get it from somebody who has it. So it's a combination of minerals and a combination of certain stones, which, I'm not a crystal expert, so you can actually look it up. I'll post something to Auntie Jean so she could pass it on, with certain stones that are really helpful for this radiation poisoning that they're going to be putting out when you take this operating system. And as I said, certain supplements like the carnitine, the cysteine, and the CoQ10, anything to deal with the mitochondria of your cells is most important. Anything to build it up, anything to keep it functioning normal is most important at this point.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Aubrey. I appreciate that highly. And at this time, I would like anybody who has a question, anybody who wants to contribute.
Yeah, Arthur's got his hand raised.
Yeah, is that Brother Marcus? Yes. And I just want to
then find out if T wanted to still ask his question.
Yeah, but do we have Siskandaki and
no, not this evening, not Siskandaki.
Devon Morgan, Chief Tonic?
I haven't seen him come in.
Okay, well, Elder Pepukayi.
Yes, he's here.
Yes, get ready so that we can hear our word from you soon. Brother Marcus, I want to give way to you.
No, Arthur's first.
Arthur, sorry, Brother Marcus. Sorry, Brother Arthur.
Hi. Okay, everybody. Hi, everybody. Just a very, very quick question. Doctor, based on what you've said already this evening, have I heard you correctly that if the spike protein is being spread to other people, and that we need to be wary of the spike, protein, then what would you suggest that we wear? I mean, the only other alternative, as far as I can see, is to go back to wearing masks. Would that be the only other way that we can do in the short term without having all of the information that we actually need in order to deal with the spike protein? How is that being spread? Is that being spread in the same way as COVID as such? Is that coming out during your, with your spit or whatever? Because like I said to you, based on what you've said to me today, wearing a mask seems to be the thing to go back to.
Masks don't do anything.
Well, the mask, spike, we have to think about with any kind of virus. Virus is spread through blood contact, fluids in the body, and so forth. They are saying that the other day I was going to Jamaica, and I had to take go and take the test. And I pulled up in my car, and they're saying, go over there. They give you a little thing. And I'm like, I'm not, I'm glad, because they say you need to deal with this yourself. So I said, I'm not putting this thing in my nose or anything like that. So I spit on it and put it back in the thing, and I gave it to them. And the next day I got a negative result. So, that with the mask, the studies show where, people can blow even film on you from their lungs, and you're not catch anything. That was just, even Dr. Fauci, the fake, doctor that's been leading people astray, says the mask is a symbolic thing. It's about control. It's about, seeing that people are complying, and they enjoy to see that. So the mask is not really stopping you from anything, because they were saying in the beginning, the scientists were looking at this particle that they were spraying around, that they sprayed on the people in Hong Kong. It is so small that the basic mask the opening of the basic mask is like a 6-footer going through a 12-foot door. Think about that. That's that's how small the thing is. So what I think the best thing is to distance is probably one of the better things, you know, from and not sharing fluid with individuals, because we were seeing that a lot of elders that were getting COVID at the time when it was really going through its period during New York, they did not go out or anything like that. It was people that come in to visit them, you know, and they didn't know they were carriers and stuff like that. And so it's like, I believe that, like the chemtrail that we've been having all these years, where they're spraying this thing in the air, I think that's how they plan to spread this thing, you know. And you know, they lied to us saying that it's, you know, it's this and it's that. I mean, these things are not even as biological as they you know, they're biological weapons, but they're not scientific, you know, for that our body would normally produce or affect our body normally. It's just that they're trying, and they're seeing, you know, it failed. In their eyes, it failed because they did not get the numbers that they were hoping for. So now they're injected in. They got you so afraid that they will inject it into you. So how do you get it? Body fluids. You know, I put a post the other day about, you know, just having sex with somebody. You know, even if it's your own wife, you might have to start using condom. And somebody, you know, a couple of people jump off my page because they basically didn't see how that you know, they didn't want to accept that, I should say. So yeah, it's just like HIV. When they were putting HIV out there, they actually first went to Africa. They wiped out, a lot of people don't realize a whole generation of people were wiped out with HIV in Africa, you know, a whole generation, 95 million people. But it happened so quietly that, you know, the media wasn't covering it. Nobody really cared. They thought, you know, a lot of these white folks in the media thought it was something that they brought on themselves. But they went there and they inject these women, telling them it's to help them with certain fertility and other things. And they were lying, just like how they injected the homosexual with it. So
basically what you're saying then, sorry to interrupt you, but basically what you're saying then is that A, keep your distance, B, if you wear a mask, it's still an open door for the actual thing to actually get through. So the only protection really, based on what you've said just now, dealing with the problem today, is keep your distance and keep your immune high, really.
Exactly. Your immune system is your only defense, basically.
So is there no material out there that is small enough to be able to catch that kind of fiber?
You know, some people double up on their masks when they're right now in public. The United States CDC has said that when, you know, people who have taken the vaccine or the jab can go out in public without mask. Think about that. People who have taken the jab now can go out in public without mask. But it's always known that the this COVID thing that they made does not survive in warm, open temperature. It does not. That's why, you know, Africa wasn't hit as hard as they thought it would have. That's why Jamaica only had 600 people dead from this thing started. So the whole thing that they're making a big deal in Jamaica, oh, Jamaica's this, it's just all about putting fear in the Jamaicans to take the jab, you know. So anywhere where it's hot, it's never really caused any serious carnage as they want it to be. So we know that outside is not going to affect it. As soon as someone sneezes, it dies immediately if that's what's transporting it. It just fall to the ground. It's inside buildings that we need to be concerned about, because you don't know if you walk into a building and someone just sneezes the stuff into the air, and you might just walk in and get the fresh portion of it. So yeah, you might need to put on your mask at that point to at least protect you from some of that. and people double up with the mask, which the ones that you see, the blue one that they use in the hospital and stuff.
Ain't touching
Some
that.
people put their handkerchief on the other side of it, because that one is in itself has other issues that you're breathing in, fibers that will give you lung infection and bacterial pneumonia over time. So yeah.
So basically, what you're saying, just to recap, then, is to double up on your masks, and to, when you're in an environment where
you're not sure.
If you're not sure, like if you're going, I basically understand exactly what you're saying. It's only just from the point of view of just now, how do I go forward based on the information that you've actually given me, how I should be able to protect myself when I go out shopping, or I go down the road, or I go out with people. So what you're saying,
exactly,
to
and
me, just keep your distance and then double up on your mask. Really.
Yeah, and I've proven this. I've done, since this whole thing started, I've flew to a few countries, a few cities, and I've been doing it every month. And it's the first time that I can say I've come off flights where I'm not sneezing and whoozing and picking up stuff from people that I would normally do before COVID started, because I always had a problem when I take flights. Before I get off the flight, I'm sneezing and I'm, like, I have to have my handkerchief with me. It's the first time in this past year that I have not had any common cold symptom coming off a flight. So I know the mask does protect you from those basic influenza type of things.
Got it. Okay, thank you very much. That's very clear. Thank you.
Hello.
Marcus.
Yes, hello. Yes, once again. Yeah, just I'd like to make 2 points. And again, before I start, just to say thank you, Dr. Aubrey. Really like your contributions. Really like your contributions.
You're welcome.
You're the first doctor or person from Jamaica that I've listened to that really, is, hitting all the right points and stuff, because I'm very disappointed in what is going on. What I'm hearing is going on in Jamaica at the moment, much less the rest of the Caribbean regarding this issue. But anyway, thank you very much for that. And I just want to make 2 points. The first one's to Arthur, very quickly, just to say, because I understand your concerns, Arthur, but I just want to put it this way to you. I mean, nobody knows when they're going to catch a cold, a common cold. Nobody knows. But what we do know is that we can catch the cold, and what we can do with our body is prepare for catching the cold. Well, the point is, it's just the same with this particular virus, because what we don't want to do is run away with this thing here and start discussing it and thinking about it as if it's something other than something that we can prepare for. Yeah, because a lot of what we're hearing now is, I mean, people are now vaccinated, they're shedding it, and this is happening, and we can pick it up off them. Well, we can pick up the common cold as well, but we don't know when we're going to get it. But what we do is we take our herbs, our vitamins, our minerals, we keep ourselves in shape, that if we do get a touch of it, we shake it off, because we know the things that we can do and take. That's the first point. The second point is just to confirm everything that Dr. Aubrey is saying, and for further information for all the people who may not know, but there is a professor called Geert van den Bosch, who worked for the Gates Foundation. He's a pro-vaccine man. The man is, as what do you call it? He has all the paperwork and everything. He's a professor, all this type of stuff. He worked for the Gateses, but he wrote a letter, which is you can get online. He wrote a letter to the World Health Organization telling them or warning them to stop the world vaccination program for the very issues that we're speaking of now, which is the shedding of this virus by vaccinated people. Geert van den Bosch. He's on YouTube being interviewed, and he's breaking down the way this spike protein works, similar to what Dr. Aubrey has just described, and what that's doing to people and how that impacts on other people. So that's just for further information for everybody. Professor Geert van den Bosch. He was on the Del Bigtree show, which I know is getting a lot of hits on certain social media platforms at the minute. And what he had to say, I actually read, and it really made it very, very clear to me how this gene therapy is behaving in the body, because he broke it down so beautifully. But anyway, he's written to the World Health Organization and he's told them to stop it, because it's the very vaccines. Again, we don't know when the next mutation's going to come. So the vaccine that they've just created, as we know, will not treat the new mutation. So what's happening is the virus will always be one step ahead. In any given situation, it's always one step ahead. So this whole thing, do I take the vaccine now? Which the vaccines we're discussing at the moment are the ones that were created for COVID-19, if it exists. But now we have the Kent variant, apparently. We have the South African variant. We now have the, oh God, I just heard the other day, there's a new one. I can't remember, which name they give it, but.
Brazilian.
Brazil, no, that's the old one. There's a new one now, apparently.
Well, the Indian?
Indian, okay, well, whatever they've done there, they've done there. Because what I'm seeing on the TV is people with breathing difficulties. I never necessarily saw that here or anywhere else. But we're seeing many people, sadly, in India, in the north of India right now, when we see the images, there are people with breathing difficulties. That's what we're seeing.
And they're getting oxygen, but that doesn't mean it's it's what really happening to them. India is it's a very polluted place also.
Correct. But again, what I really wanted to just deliver was the letter, or the letter that was sent to the World Health Organization, and the work of Professor Geet van den Bosch.
Yeah, I read his letter, and he's right on, because he works with Bill Gates.
Thank you. Well, he used to. He doesn't work for him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the scientists, right?
Thank you, top guy. And this guy is pro-vaccine. You couldn't get more pro-vaccine than this guy. But again, he breaks down how these, again, these gene therapy jabs work with the body. So I'm just offering that to everybody. Thank you.
Give thanks, Brother Marcus. And you'll see I've been joined by baby Arikana. She's presenting with me now. So I'm going to be checking out Geet van den Bosch, because that sounds very interested. We're coming to an end soon, but before we do, we're going to have a word from Elder Pepukayi from the Grand Coalition.
That's alkaline as well.
And
has he come back in?
I thought he has.
No, I don't think we've got Ras Alkaline.
Okay.
No, I haven't seen him.
Anyway, we've gone past the time as well, so I don't think we have time for Ras Alkaline's contribution, unless it's quite short. But yes, I want to give way to Uncle Pepukayi, who's gonna, or Elder Pepukayi, who's gonna be just letting us know exactly why we come here today and what we've learned. And I said to Auntie Jean and Uncle Pepukayi the other day, saying that there's no way that we can lose when we have people that are willing to fight the way Auntie Jean and Elder Pepukayi fight for us. So I give thanks and honor.
Facts, bro.
Yes, but we'll say bye properly after Elder Pepukayi. But Elder Pepukayi, speak to the people, please.
Greetings, family. First and foremost, we need to ask ourselves, why are we in this conversation? And we're in this conversation because all the African and Asian MP have made an appeal to all of us Africans. And they said, please take the vaccine. Have we ever asked a question, how did they arrive at making that appeal? Did they get together among themselves, or was they ordered by somebody else to make this appeal? In 1987, I believe, 3 African and 1 Asian enter Parliament. Bernie Grant, who is now deceased, Diane Abbott, Paul Boateng, and Keith Vaz, 4 non-European MPs in Parliament. And Bernie Grant was definitely not a career politician. This was truly a man of the people. And he served not only his constituency, Tottenham, but the entire African community here in the UK. He was also very vocal about reparation, and he linked with the coming president, Abiola of Nigeria. And Abiola never come out of jail alive. He was murdered in the jail. So he never become president of Nigeria. Bernie Grant died young. Now I don't know what killed him. But I find it interesting that a British MP who is so committed about reparation, who link with a coming president of the sleeping giant Nigeria, both of them died. And Britain's not addressing the issue of reparation. But reparation is not what we're talking about this evening. We're talking about this concoction, so-called vaccine. And I'm glad Dr. Oliver draw our attention not to equate this concoction with a vaccine. Because while vaccine in themselves have a certain amount of danger attached to it, and it might have done some good in some way, but this concoction is not a vaccine. Must be very clear about that. No, MP is supposed to be our representative, and we have to understand what really happened with these African and Asian MP making this passionate appeal to all of us. And the question we need to focus on, which other community, one MP or a group of MP targeted. And we were the only people who was targeted to be collude, to be enticed to come and get this poison. And therefore, one of the panelists, I can't remember the brother's name, made it quite clear that this has nothing to do with health. Dr. Oliver, who's a trained physician, a trained medical doctor, told us about the mission behind this COVID business. And other panelists, like our sister Theresa, it has nothing to do with health. No, these MP had the time to get together. It was rehearsed, because if you listen to the message, they all were saying the same thing. Please take the vaccine. When my time comes, I will take it. No, if you're going to recommend somebody to do something, you would have tested it out first. You would have done all the research. And I'm certain those MP did not do any research. I believe they were told, they were ordered to go out and canvass to bring us in. Why? Because we have a long history of genocidal assault on us. We have known the danger of so-called vaccine, not to mention this poison that they're trying to push down our throat. No, these MPs were very passionate. They begged us, they pleaded with us, take the vaccine. Yet, When we called them and said, okay, you pleaded with us to take this vaccine, so-called vaccine, why? What was the basis? Not one of them turned up. We sent them an invitation, written invitation, and some of them did give a polite acknowledgement, but they said they were busy. Why weren't they busy when they was advising us and went to another business and leave us alone? No, they came crying. In fact, when I see Diane Abbott as one of them, it nearly brings tears to my eyes. Why? Because Diane Abbott is the only long-serving African MP still active. Bernie's dead. Paul Bottom retired from it a long time ago. And it's only Diane of the 3 African MP who historically went in Parliament in 1987. And that woman have been savage, beaten, attacked viciously over the many years. And I don't know what they did, what threats they did to her, because I would advise all of us who are listening that we should revisit that broadcast by these MPs and see Diane. You could see that woman was in pain because she knew what she was saying was dangerous, was harmful. So we have to ask ourselves, who put a gun to her head? Because some of the others seems that they believe in it. But look again at how Diane appeared in that video. And you can see Diane was being coerced herself to coerce the rest of us. So I'm saying to our brothers and sisters in the broadcast this evening, do not leave it there. MPs are accountable. They're supposed to be our representative. We voted for them to represent us. And in this respect, they not only misrepresent us, they're leading us to danger. And we need to call a town hall meeting, and we need to tell them to attend the meeting. And if they fail to attend the meeting, we do not vote for any of them. We must have a mass campaign. Do not vote for anyone who will not represent you. We exchange a vote for representation. That is how democracy is supposed to work. And in this regard, democracy is not working because the MPs are saying, do what we tell you, don't ask us any question, we're not accountable to you. Give us your vote and keep quiet. Well, we the African people must rise up because we only have each other. Because a lot of us are traitors. The only way white people can exploit us, kill us, is because we collude with them. If we separate ourselves from them and said, who over that side, we over this side, we will defend ourselves. We're not the aggressor, but we're not going to sit as a lamb to the slaughter. We will stand up and defend our life because no one has any right over our lives. We must take full responsibility. Nature brings us on this planet. We have a duty to sustain ourselves in good health on this planet. And I'm saying, we're not finished with those MPs yet. so they can run and hide as much as they want. But we are their constituents. Because remember this, they did not appeal to their constituents. They appealed to all of us. So every one of us as African can call any one of them to account. Because this is the first time ever in British parliamentary practice where MPs went against party line and canvass on an issue. No, why didn't they canvass on Windrush? Look at the disaster that Windrush placed we African people in. Even the government admit that they was cruel, wicked in the way they treat us over Windrush. But no, I think it was only our man for Tottenham who take a strong stance on Windrush. The others were silent and very lukewarm. Why they don't talk about the amount of our children who've been excluded from the education system? Why haven't they talked about the number of young men and women who are being slaughtered by each other? The self-hatred that the school have imparted to them because they have not given them an education in which they're proud of themselves. So they now begin to slaughter each other. Why aren't the MPs talking about that? Why aren't they talking about the amount of Black people, especially young Black people, who's gone missing every day? You hear about how many Black people has gone missing. They've been very silent, but yet they can come together and tell us to take poison. So I'm saying, brothers and sisters, this is just a start. The Grand Coalition in defense and to protect African life, small as we are, we're not going to run away. We're not timid. We're not afraid. We'll put our life on the line to ensure that we live a dignified life on this planet. We don't deny any other race life, and none will deny ours. Gone are the days when we said yes, master, and no, master. We are our own master of our own destiny. And I will commend the hard work of the people that has worked night and day to make this broadcast possible. And the good brothers and sisters who give up their time to come and share knowledge of value to us. But I'm saying this is just the beginning. We take full responsibility for our life. We did not wish death on anyone, but we certainly gonna defend our lives.
Yes.
So I'll stop for there because other people want to ask a few questions.
Yes, no, the Elder Pepukayi, thank you so much.
Yes, give thanks.
Yeah, give thanks. And Auntie Jean, Sister Patricia, some people asking for the contact details for the Grand Coalition, so if you can make it available to them. And you know, I really liked what one thing that Uncle Pepukayi said with regards to, what book is that, Uncle P?
The one that Brother Clyde talked about, vaccines are dangerous. When this book came out, it was just a small pamphlet. But this brother over the years have done his research and has produced a masterpiece.
Keep it still for us so we can see it.
I got my one here as well.
There as well.
Someone.
Hey.
Because we're not just sitting down doing nothing. We're doing work.
Yeah. And
does Elder Pepukayi selling the book?
Yeah, I think he's got copies.
Yes, and also this book, African Holistic Health, by a great doctor.
Layla Afrika.
Layla Afrika.
Yeah.
He's not joined the ancestors, but he left us a great legacy.
So the name of that book was Vaccines Are Dangerous. And by who's the author?
Curtis Cost.
Curtis Cost.
Curtis Cost.
Yes, and believe me, it is well researched.
Yeah,
powerful book.
Yeah,
very good book.
Excellent. And I see somebody's pushed the Amazon link there. Unless that is
no.
Pepukayi's.
No, you go through Pepukayi, not Amazon.
Nah, man, Israel's already built, man.
Yeah.
You don't leave out Amazon.
Come to the Underground Railroad, man.
That was just to see the book. I'm sure that's don't worry. That was
That's
just
to show you what the front cover looks like, yeah?
But you can get, someone said Silence of the Lammies, Silence of David Lammy. We all know about David Lammy. David Lammy, he talks a good game and seems like he's here for the community. But those who know, those in Tottenham know that he doesn't get a lot of love in his constituency. So yeah, we don't give too much
Let me say
too much love to yeah, go on, Uncle P.
You're muted, Pepukayi. Unmute yourself, Pepukayi.
Yes, I am a resident of Tottenham. What's his name?
Lammy.
Lammy's constituent. So I will be at his door.
But you know, I think one of the most beautiful thing that Uncle P said during his speech was to do with, you know, we need to be having like a town hall. And you see, this kind of forum is like that town hall. And we invited the MPs down to the town hall to come and speak to the people, to the village. And they decided that they were too good. So they were too good to come down, or they had stuff that was too busy for them. So I think that it's really been a great opportunity to come together and share information. I really love that Uncle P was able to finish us off there and give us those words of power. What do you think, JJ?
I think it's been a beautiful experience, to be honest. I think it's been great to delve into all these different areas. I hope that the people like myself have taken a lot of this information as skeletons for wider research and understanding for yourself, because it's clear to see that the efforts that are being made by the establishment, albeit these politicians, TV presenters and entertainers and all these people are making these comments about us taking this jab, and they're not coming from an educated perspective. They're coming from a very emotional perspective, and we understand we've all got loved ones, we've all got people in our lives that are vulnerable, and we all want to do what's right for them. But unfortunately, sometimes history is a great barometer of the personalities that we're dealing with. And how can I explain that? Now, if my brother Dayo lends me £500 and I don't pay him back, when I see him next week and say, yo, brother, lend me £500, he's in a way better position now to say, hold on, I remember last time you tried this one on me. You ain't getting nothing back from me. Do you understand? We need to start reviewing our relationship with these people in power, yeah, or their global presence on people that look like us, hence it being a grand African coalition, yeah? And what is their relationship to us, and what has it been like, and how can we better maneuver in this position? Let's not be so led by the emotion, and try and be logical, methodical, strategic, yeah, and do what's best for us as a people. And I don't think trusting people that have never come out and shown that they've got our interests at heart. If you actually think about the fact that the loan that paid for the slave owners reparations, yes, the white man got reparations for loss of slaves, yeah, from the Caribbean, and that loan that they took out to pay them was finished being paid off in 2015. We all, with our tax money, contributed to the slave master. And these same people now are turning around 4, 5, 6 years later and saying, actually, we love you guys. We've got jabs lined up for you. Come queue up. We've got your back. That is ridiculous. You understand? Let's get to know the personality of the people that are coming to us. Yes, Shazza X, without consent. Yeah. Get to know the personality of these people. Let's be aware. Let's be sharp. and let's think on our feet. And I hope that we can breed a whole generation of scientists underneath us that's going to be able to go out there and be the vanguard against the likes of people like Bill Gates and the rest of them. Remember, Bill Gates came out and said the world is overpopulated. Then the next thing he comes out and says, yo, I got jabs for you guys. I'm sorry, man. It's very fishy. So I'm very grateful everybody came to talk. I'm very grateful Elder Pepukayi came to deliver the hammer of the spiritual direction and clarity that we're going. And I hope to see everybody that's on this panel and more, the people in the comments, pushing forward and doing what's right for African people.
Now, before we go, we're going to close us out.
But before you got 3 hands raised.
Oh, we've got 3 hands. Okay.
Yes. So you got Marlene, you've got Galactic, Clyde, and then you've got Dave.
Okay. Yes, Sister Marlene.
Don't forget my hand as well.
Is your hand up? Oh, Brother Jenga. Okay. Jegna, sorry. All right.
I just got 2 questions to ask. Why, if it's not supposed to affect people in warm country, why is India and Brazil got such an appalling rate of it being, big explosion there all of a sudden?
But think about who's giving the report.
Because I wanted to also say, do you remember the big protest that happened in India about 3 weeks to a month ago? And most of you probably won't remember because that's not going to be reported. Right. That wasn't reported. Apparently, it was the biggest protest in human history, people were saying. Massive in certain, the farmers' protest about how much land they're losing. All of a sudden, all of the people start dying off, and that's front page news. Remember we're looking at the personality of the people that's handing out these jabs and so forth. Is it beyond them to have chemical warfare? Is it beyond them to put, remember Galactic Clyde spoke about smallpox in blankets? That was amateur stuff. They've moved on now 500 years now, yeah, and they've upgraded. So is it possible? I don't know, but is it possible that the very people that seem to care about us will be comfortable with chemical warfare? And I'll be very interested to know what the situation is in Brazil. Okay, somebody's commented in the group. Drug trial in Brazil and massive vaccination in India. 73% dies hours after jab. So that was from Brother Dave Murphy.
India kicked out, Bill Gates was in India and they run Bill Gates out of India.
Yeah.
Okay. So all of these things are research points. Remember, not to take nothing that none of us are saying. Go and do your own research and then sit your family down at the Sunday dinner and share it with them.
Right. And also, a lot of places are open at the moment, and if the only way to avoid getting the disease is by distance, there's not that much distance in trains and buses anymore, so there've got to be something to protect ourselves with, because everyone is out as normal, moving around. So there's something, to need to be used to protect ourselves, or else we could be in serious trouble.
Well, sister, the first line of defense is your own natural immunity. So
fantastic, exactly.
First things first and foremost is you should feel confident walking into a room full of pathogens, knowing that your immunity is built like a lion and can take it on. Secondly, we know that Brother Aubrey today was going into some of the precious metals that you could do to disturb radiation for some of the airborne pathogens around the air. Also, he said that if you are worried about vaccinated people who have this spike protein and you feel that you could be extra susceptible, he did say in this, and I'm gonna take it. He said that you can double mask. Now I don't mask at all. I don't even single mask. But he said that if you want to make sure that you don't get a pathogen, or you're going close to somebody that's been vaccinated that you think could be a spreader of something that could be harmful for you, you can double mask as well. But I think the most important thing that to take from today's presentation is your own natural immunity. Make sure that you're allowing the herbs that you're taking in are filling up your immunity, and you're conscious of the type of journey that you're on. Remember, a lot of the people, 99.9% of people survive from contracting this disease. The people that are dying are people that are elderly or are overweight or have underlying conditions. So if any of those things are an issue to you, then what you need to be doing is ensuring that your immunity first and foremost is the most.
I'm actually talking in general, being as everything is opened up and there is hundreds and thousands of us just wandering around now. None of us know who has this mask, and there have been a lot of people who have been, quite blasé, if you want to use that word, and say, oh, we're not going to wear nothing, we're not going to do anything, and they land up catching this virus, whatever it is out there. We really don't know what is out there, but all we know, something is out there.
Yeah. Sister Marlene, I know where you're coming from. That hasn't personally been my experience though. Because I know others have felt the same way as you. My experience is seeing Gina Yashere. I'm taking the vaccine. Next picture, I'll see her in bed.
In
like
hospital.
this.
No. I think it's nonsense. I do believe it's nonsense, these people trying to persuade us. I think it's a personal choice. Obviously, with the government or whatever, they've got to try something to get everyone, because I believe by the end of the year, they're going to force everyone to have this thing.
Not everyone.
They can't force you.
You ever see Rambo?
Let's see what they do. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Marlene. You got Galactic Clyde next.
Galactic Clyde, yeah.
Yes. Greetings, me again. Also, can I don't know, Auntie Jean or one of you can explain how much MP that was invited, so people have an idea then the amount of MP that was the information was sent out to and the response we get.
I think it was 26 MPs, right? Is that right?
Mr. Patricia?
No, 80. There was 20 MPs in the video.
20 MPs in the video.
20 MPs in the video, and letters were sent to all except 2.
All except 2. So we invited 18 MPs to come today, and it really, as I mentioned, I've said it so many times today, but it really just speaks to what they really care about and where their loyalties really lie. It wasn't even a consideration for them today to come. We're gonna take 2 or 3 contributions. So we're gonna take Theresa, Dave, and then Diane.
Dave was waiting, and then Diane, and then Theresa.
Let's go Dave, Diane, Theresa, then opposite of my order. And then we're going to
Dr. Aubrey had his hand up also, but it's gone down.
Okay. Yes. Let's go to Dave. Go.
Okay. Right, very quickly then. First of all, I go around this, I've been through this whole year without fear. Whenever I do any speeches about this, I bring up the 5-second rule. Does anybody remember the 5-second rule? Yeah, you drop food on the floor, you've got 5 seconds to pick it up. Yeah, I mean, I have no fear, because I know that our bodies are designed to deal with everything in this world. Yeah, the virus is a mind virus, and that's the only thing. Just to reply to one thing that the sister said, they can't force the vaccine on anyone. At some point, you're going to have to accept it voluntarily. All right? Never. They can never force it on you. Right? Let's just clear that one up. I've said earlier, I gave on Auntie Jean's platform, I mentioned about the community cooperative. So we've set up a community cooperative now. It's a registered body. and we've just started this. Okay, step back a second. We're in a drug trial right now that's due to end in January 2023. Okay. Now, the only thing that's missing from their drug trial is the control group, the group that doesn't get vaccinated, to compare with the vaccinated group. So in order to help out the drug companies, we've started our own vaccine trial control group. And, we're going to do it properly with literally all our volunteers will be given informed consent, and literally they'll get a card, and they'll have access to our adverse effects reporting system. And our drug trial is going to last for 30 years. So it means that anyone who's participating will not be able to have, a vaccine or even wear a mask for the next 30 years. And because we're a registered body, it's not just a bunch of people saying it, it's a registered body that is actually conducting the drug trial. And at the end of our trial, we'll send all our data to Pfizer and Moderna and all that. So yeah, that's one solution.
Excellent.
Well done, Dave.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Don't forget, Jegna, he wanted to ask a question.
Oh, okay. Let's go to Dayo.
No, Jegna was up there before, because I've been writing down who's up there.
Jegna was first. No problem. Brother Jegna?
Two ones really. The information from Dave and all the speakers, could they give some facts? Send it to maybe Patricia so we can put it into a fact sheet? And
yes, so we're just asking all of the practitioners that have shared with us today just to send us as much information as they're happy to, so that it can form part of our fact sheet. The Grand Coalition have created a fact sheet that has been shared with me. I've had a look at it. It's really informative, and we're really just trying to compile as much facts as we can that can just help support exactly the way everybody's feeling right now, which is this vaccine is very, very dangerous. So yeah, if everybody's spoken today can just forward to the Grand Coalition any details, that would be really, really helpful. Was there anything else?
Especially about making our immune system strong, especially that.
Especially about building up the immunity. Apparently we need some support with regards to that, so that would be really helpful. Thank you, Bro Jegna.
Okay.
Yes, sister.
We've got Diane, then Dr. Aubrey, then Theresa, and Theresa will be the last.
Great.
Okay.
Just in response to the lady that was concerned about lockdown easing and infection transmitting, before there was lockdown, 2,000 doctors had written to the government opposing lockdown. So these are medical professionals. And I'll just give you my own personal experience. My friend had COVID 3 times. And during that period, I was around her twice a week. My niece had COVID twice. During that period, she was around by me. My work colleagues had COVID, and at no time during all those periods did I get COVID. I had a blood test and they confirmed that I was negative. So as you said, your immune system, 99.9% of the time, will eliminate any infection that you get. Thank you very much.
Give thanks. Give thanks.
Thank
There,
you.
Diane. Dr. Aubrey.
Thank you. Dr. Aubrey. Dr. Aubrey?
We can't hear you.
Yeah, I see that. I thought I heard him talking earlier.
I can see him, but we can't hear you.
Hello, let me see if I
You're
can.
not muted.
This side.
Might be his audio.
Yeah, brother. Aubrey.
All right, we will get back to you, Theresa, and we'll see if we can sort out your audio.
Hi everyone. Do I wait? Do you want me to wait?
Yes.
No, carry on.
Go ahead, please, sis.
Okay, this is a bit of a somber thing I'm going to say. I think we Black people are spiritual people. We've been encouraged for a very long time to not pay attention to that. This is a spiritual war that we're in, and it has been going on for a very long time, and we will never go back to the life we had before. And I'm just warning people that there are, all right, I'm just going to say it. They opened up the portal, off-planet things arrived here. The technology that they've got in 100 years is beyond human capability. We're in serious danger, and everybody needs to start to understand what's going on and get on the side of understanding so we can actually start to protect ourselves.
I think that's so true.
Thanks.
It is quite sobering, but it's quite true. If we think about 100 years, there's nothing but a lot of crazy stuff that's been happening to us. And you see a lot of people, a lot of stuff coming out where they're talking about aliens and all this stuff at the moment. So we don't know what they're going to try and announce next. But I think it's just so important that we just build up our own fortitude and our own capabilities. Dr. Oliver, Aubrey, Brother Aubrey, you there? We haven't got...
Trying to say before, it's his audio. You need to check his audio settings.
Yeah, you're going to have to check your audio on your side. It says connecting to audio.
Yeah, no, it's going to have to look on his audio on the
Zoom, on the platform.
Yeah, you're going to have to...
On the arrows down below.
Yeah, check the arrows down.
Where it says mute, look at your audio settings.
Can I ask a quick question while he's doing that? I just wanted, he said he took a flight and he's never been so well. I miss what made him well on that flight. Can anyone answer that for me?
Well,
I think he said the mask.
Wearing a mask.
I think he was saying he had never been more resistant. He was used to, and he comes off a flight, he's used to sneezing.
Yeah, but he didn't on a particular one recently.
I think what he said is the mask
The
is
mask
the only thing he did different.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
think that
Okay.
being in close proximity with people for a long time, the
Right,
mask did help for him personally. He says maybe.
Yeah, well, on flights now, you've got no choice or you can't get on it. So that's the way that they've used. But
what
I
I
just
would say
missed
is,
that part.
I understand. What I would say though is that when you I remember watching something about 10 years ago about germs, viruses, and the immune system and how they're age-old enemies, and that all the bacterias and things that we say are bad, they would grow and to be the dominant species on the planet if our immune systems wasn't defending us by destroying them. And there's that battle going on at all times. And what I think we've done with, I don't know for how long this has been happening, but I know that if you hurt your toenail, the doctor's throwing antibiotics at you, your head's hurting a little bit, you're taking penicillin or paracetamol or whatever the other drugs people then take. And the more you do that, the less the immune system is reliant on fighting and upgrading and dealing with its problems. So when any kind of germ or whatever comes into existence to you, if your immune system ain't where it's supposed to be, you're not going to be able to fight it. And that's why people talk about natural remedies and this, that, because it's all about feeding the immune system to do what it needs to do. Just quickly, I just wanted to share, there's a lady called Dr. Lissa Rankin, and she's got something called Mind Over Medicine. And what she said is that the mind, if you live in a state of fear and a state of shock, then your body's in fight or flight. And then when you're in fight or flight, the body doesn't think about cleansing itself, doesn't think about fighting your daily cancers, doesn't think about sorting out, all the little lumps and bumps and things you would normally worry about. We get them every day and we eradicate them. But if you're in fear, you're just thinking about getting out of the room because there's a tiger in the room. Yeah. So Mind Over Medicine, maybe check that lady out if you've got time on YouTube as well. Yeah.
Well, the fact is, the whole perception of things constantly keep changing, because one minute they think catching, being not too sterile and, a bit of germs does you a bit of good. And the climate we're in now, we're supposed to be quite sterile, and it'll change again. Just like one minute coffee is good for you, the next minute it isn't. So that's the world we seem to be living in. Things keep altering every so often.
Because if you get comfortable, then you might get comfortable. You understand? They have to keep you on your toes, keep you always moving. So you can't ever start thinking logically, you know what I mean? It's always an emotional response, and we're responding all the time. If you play any sports and you're just responding to the opposition, you're more or less lost. You've got to start thinking of your own strategy and how you're going to act in your way. And I think this is exactly what the Grand Coalition are trying to do, and the direction they're trying to push us as Black people in the United Kingdom especially, and around the globe. Is there any kind of closing set?
I was going to say, Dr. Aubrey, can you speak, or you might have to come out and come back in?
Let's try one more
if
time.
anything.
Hey, can hear you.
Can you hear?
Oh, it wasn't you. I was me.
No, you might have to lock off and then come back in.
I did say that about 5 minutes ago, but
Can I just say, people,
I don't
quickly
know
to...
why I bother.
Sorry, Jake.
Well, you made the good point.
Can we remind everybody that we're going to be doing a series of these kind of talks?
Yes.
So they must keep a look out for the promotional material.
Yes. This is just number one in a number of series of this kind of informational kind of setting, where we're just trying to put across messages that can just support us to, really have that environment where we can speak to our community, and we don't have to hear from anybody outside. Even though MP didn't turn up, one thing that I really got from the Grand Coalition was that they weren't really just trying to speak to the MPs and what they wanted, because we know that they're pro-vaccine. Really, we need to start to grow stronger in what we're doing. Brother,
am I back?
Yes, we can hear you. Oh, yeah.
I mean, the whole time I'm on mute and I'm talking, and I guess I could be heard. But real quick, just to sum it up real quick, yes, it's as a people, and being the original people, type O blood type and all that, we are a holistic people, which is mind, body, and soul. We basically need to never forget that. We have a soul. A lot of these people that we're dealing with are demonic forces. They don't have souls. They're being programmed by other sources. So I was just going to say, Bill Gates, in his own words, said that since he got into vaccine, he has doubled his wealth. So think about what that means. This has nothing to do with our health, as you said earlier. This is about profit and carnage and destruction. I mean, some people are going to profit from killing off a third of the universe, and another set of people are going to be sitting thinking that they're going to be going to Mars pretty soon with the space program that these guys are putting together from Elon Musk and all this stuff. So we're fighting. It's a spiritual thing we're fighting, and we all need to remember that and just take care of ourselves, because this is the final frontier. Our health is the final frontier, and we need to remember that.
Amazing. Our health is the final frontier. That's a great way to sign us off. Auntie Jean, we have a video to play us out. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, we do. So to say thank you to all of our presenters who's made it known to us. And I said we are going to have a series between the African Culture Market, the PSCM, and also Galaxy Radio. So look out for the presenters that you've seen, and also other presenters. And we're going to have a part 2 of this as well. So we'll let you know when the part 2 of this is, and then we'll start with the series. So thank everybody, all of our presenters.
Sorry, Auntie G, can I say one thing? I just put my email address in the chat for Brother Jengba. I'm really, really excited by this group and what you guys are doing. So I took the liberty of putting my own personal email in there. I was just wondering if Jegba could save that, please, and send me any details that you have of when you're going to do this again, please.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that.
I thought I recognize that voice, Mark.
And yes, it's me, man. It's me.
Yes, everybody who is interested in joining the coalition, please details. We'll make sure to pick it up. The coalition is a group of African voices, African minds, all coming from our different pockets. As I mentioned, my name is Dayo That'll do. I'm from BPG, Black People Giving. Check out www.blackpeoplegiving.com, where we've actually created a tool that helps you assess your mind, body, and soul. So we've created something called the Abundant Body, and you can go through our health test on the website right now to see exactly how we want to support you with your holistic health. And like I say, the coalition will be doing a series of these kind of talks, and I'm really looking forward to being involved in the future. I look forward to seeing many of the faces I've seen today, and let's just get this message out to more and more people. This video, we're going to make sure it's put onto YouTube as well. So anytime you're out there having a conversation with someone and they want to tell you a whole heap of things about why you need to take the vaccine, you can just draw them to this video as a point of reference to say, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. And I'm really happy that we've got this as this. We just need to continue to build on this foundation and continue to create. JJ, any final thoughts?
You're muted.
All right. Yeah, as I said, thank you. I appreciate you all. Thank you for coming. Just so someone asked us then, what's your website, Dayo, about the Abundant Body?
www.blackpeoplegiving.com. You can check it out now.
Yeah. Thank you. Give thanks to the Grand African Coalition. Give thanks to everybody that spoke today. And I look forward to the next one.
Fantastic.
Give thanks.
And
all right.
Before we sign off, I think we should just give honor and praises to the ancestors that came before us, and we give honor and praises to the Most High. I want to try and get us to come together and do one thing at the same time. So if we could all unmute with me, and I want us to say Ashe, Ashe, Asheo, right?
Asheo.
Yeah, let's do it on three.
Asheo. Asheo.
Let's go. Ashe.
Blessed love.
Give thanks, love, divine blessings.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Go
For
ahead.
those people who may want to save the chat, the information, you can click on there's three next to file on your system, on your device. Next to file, there's three dots. If you click on the three dots, you have the option to save chat. You can save the chat to your device, and then you can go through it at your leisure.
Where do I find the three dots?
By file in the chat. By the chat on your right hand side.
Right hand side.
Right hand side at the bottom.
I don't see any chat.
Are you on a computer?
No.
No.
Is that on the laptop as well?
How come my this credit thing? How do I get
on my phone? It says more.
File, yes.
And when I click more, it will say the third one down is record to cloud.
Yeah, click on more.
Yeah, maybe it says more.
No, you click on the three dots. If you're on a computer or a laptop.
Can somebody send it by email? Because people.
Yes, Pepukayi, I've saved it, Pepukayi, so I can send it on to you.
You go to the three dots, click on the three dots, and go down to save as.
Thank you, Patricia. I learned something new today. Thank you very much.
Good night, all.
Each one.
Each one. True.
Good night. I'll play the video while people are going out.
Auntie Jean, can you forward me a copy of the program, please?
What, the chat?
Yes, please.
Okay.
No, the whole thing.
Recording.
You want the recording?
Yeah.
That's you'll see it on Facebook. On Facebook on Auntie Jean, and I'll be uploading it to YouTube, and it'll be on the Auntie Jean Zone channel on YouTube.
But you know they'll pull it down. That's what I'm saying. If you save it internally and send it out via email, it's better, because YouTube are pulling any COVID video off, and Facebook are doing likewise, unless you can fact check your points within the video.
Right. But the thing is, I'll have to see if a WeTransfer will do it, because I know the file will be too big to send, to be sent by email. So I'll see if we can do it by WeTransfer.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Okay, Huey.
All right, one love, yeah?
All right, peace.
My name is Jack Gidai. I'm a traditional medical practitioner. I've been practicing for the last 50 years. I have also been a consultant with WHO as a member of WHO Regional Expert Committee on Traditional Medicine I've been a consultant with the Commonwealth Secretariat, and I'm a trainer for the Commonwealth Secretariat in the Comesa region. I've been also an advisor with the Ecumenical Pharmaceutical Advisory Network, particularly advising church-based medical institutions for quite a while. So as a professional, medic by training and practice, I am a bit concerned about the massive vaccination of global and national populations before we are double sure that the vaccine we are taking is safe. In WHO standard, any therapy, be it a vaccine, a tablet, or a capsule, must be first and foremost safe. It must be safe in short-term basis, on mid-term basis, on long-term basis. My question is to the Minister of Health and to all those who are involved in the administration of our drugs in this country, are they double sure that the vaccine we are about to start injecting our people is safe? On short-term basis, I hear in other countries some people have died, certainly. On mid-term basis, which means 3, 4, 6 months, and on long-term basis, a year or years after now. We are aware that vaccines have been used in exterminating people in other countries. In Australia, in US, in South America, in North America, vaccine can be misused, and they have been misused. So I talk on behalf of my people of Kenya, I talk on behalf of the African people, that even as we engage in tackling the current pandemic, HIV-19, let's first of all be double sure that what we are injecting our people, into our people as a vaccine for COVID-19 is safe. Before we are sure of that, my advice is let people take time. Let people wait and hear what is happening elsewhere. We know that many continents have lost their indigenous people. In Canada, in Australia, in South America, in North America. The tactics of exterminating populations in countries that other people are interested in, they use poverty, civil conflict, toxic medicines, toxic fertilizer, and in many cases, vaccines that kill slowly. Vaccines that change the immunity of our people so that eventually they'll be more vulnerable to diseases they have been able to cope with before they were vaccinated. But maybe since the first case of COVID-19 was reported, the virus has now mutated. There's a new variant. Do you think proper research was done to produce this vaccine? That's a very good question. Vaccine do mutate. COVID-19 vaccine has mutated. We have more, in Kenya they said we have more than 27 variants. Globally, we have the one we have currently in Kenya, and I hear from last week, the British variant is here. The South African variant is here. The vaccination we are going through, what variant is the vaccine against? And if you are vaccinated against a current variant of virus, what about when another one comes and many others come? These are questions. Another question, as a medic, a professional medic in training and practice, why are governments spending so much money on vaccine and zero expenditure on treatment? Diseases are eliminated through treatment. When you treat a patient with incurable TB, you prevent very many people. When you vaccinate without treating, when you spend so much money on vaccine while you are spending zero on treatment, you create a suspicion. I have been treating COVID-19 cases since they landed here in Kenya. And as I talk, I'm aware that a lot of people I have helped are listening to me. I have even given a sample to the authorities that matter. I have written about it to authorities that matter. How come they are not interested in it? That creates a lot of suspicion. Because a disease that is killing people en mass, in some cases 4,000, 5,000 a day, many thousands within a month, anybody who claims there's a cure should be listened to. That claim should be verified. We have intellectual capacity to validate any medicine or any therapeutic claim here in Kenya. Why aren't these claims being taken seriously? It is because COVID-19, Ebola, HIV/AIDS has political and commercial connotation. Other people are using these diseases first to exterminate communities that must go, so that they have opportunity to access the wealth of this country. Two, they are used as avenue of enriching certain countries, certain companies, or certain individuals. As a traditional medical practitioner, we are mandated to talk the truth. As a professional scientist and a medical practitioner, I tell my people the truth. I give my people what I'm sure of. If I'm asked to make an opinion on anything, I'll tell nothing but the truth. The truth about the ongoing vaccination is that we don't know enough about it. It is a product of a conspiracy that has not been challenged. A lot of conspiracy is common knowledge in the social media. Nobody has challenged the fact that there has been a conspiracy to reduce the global population to literally 10%, the current one. The priority population to be exterminated are the Africans, who are alleged to be useless eaters. People who eat, live in precious lands, sit on very precious resources that should be availed to those who are better than them. These are facts in the social media, and they are documented in historical texts. And as I say that, I know the Reddidian occupied North America. They were exterminated. Today, North America is an extension of Europe. South America belonged to the Mayan civilization. As we talk, South America belongs to the to the European of Spanish origin and Portuguese. By the same token, Australia belonged to Aborigines. That's why I trained. I trained in Southern Australia. I met the Aborigines. I know Aborigines owned and occupied the entire Australian continent. They were exterminated more or less the same way we are being planned to be exterminated, through poverty, through ethnic-related conflicts, through manipulation of our politics, and through possibly introduction of new diseases and through vaccines. Our people must be careful. Our leaders and our government should refuse to be used to exterminate our own people. Their mandate is to protect us. Their mandate is to protect this country so that we leave it the way we found it, so that our future generation can inherit a Kenya that is the way it should be. And even as I talk for Kenyans, just as I talk for other Africans, wherever they are, in Africa and abroad. Africa is the next target for new colonialists. Out of the 7 continents of the world, it's only Africa and Asia that has not become an extension of Europe. Asia has China, Japan, India, and Russia bordering them. They are not easy to tackle. In Africa, they have no challenge. It's a walkover strategy. That is why the vaccine we are being brought should be looked with a lot of suspicion. It should never be administered on our people unless our ethical scientists and the medic prove beyond doubt that it has no negative effect on us, short-term basis, mid-term basis, and long-term basis.
Give thanks. Right, I'm going to say goodbye to those on Facebook, and thank you everyone for joining us. A big thank you to Galactic Clyde. Big thank you to Dave Murphy, allegedly Dave, Dr. Aubrey, Theresa Hatchett, Russ Alkaline, who we just saw a glimpse of, Elder Pepukayi. Who have I left out? Who have I left out?
Yourself. No, I'm only joking.
JJ and Brother Dayo and Sister Patricia. Is that it? Okay. And big thank you to everybody who came and joined us for this evening.
It's wonderful, wonderful. Give thanks. Give
Thank
thanks.
you. And looking forward to seeing you on part 2 and the series that we start when we start then.
Yeah, unity is strength. Don't forget that.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, Sister Ya.
Good night.
Good night, Shaja.
Good night, all.
Night, Brother Nat.
Good night, Brother Nat.
Like Little House on the Prairie, isn't it?
I know.
All right, John Boy.
Good night, Miss Ellie. Is Galactic Clyde still? Oh yeah, he's there.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, Brian. You can put the popcorn away now.
Good night, people. Good night.
Good night, Brian. Good to see you.
Good night,
Good
Brian.
night. Likewise, Shez. Good night. Good night, Patrick. Patricia.
Patrick.
Sorry, I'm eating.
Oh, is it? And you're not sharing. That's not nice. Sharing is sharing.
I can't do it.
All right, I didn't need your honesty.
I can't help it.
That's all right. Good night, Brian. I'll see you on Friday.
Likewise, Shez.
Okay,
Likewise.
good night.
Good night.
Likewise.
Good night, everyone. I think you might have to start putting people.
All right, good night. I'm going to say good night and